Because every school building is different, every school population is different. These are smart people. They can figure out what is going to be right for their specific situation.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
I think what we heard from the secretary was malfeasance and dereliction of duty. Going back to school presents the biggest risk for the spread of the coronavirus.
That's just completely wrong and contrary to all the science. The risk to children from this disease for fatality is nearly zero. In the United States, half the teachers are 40 or less and a quarter of them are under 30. They have almost zero risk from this.
Oh, back to school. Back to school.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
When the city of Gotham had a real difficult challenge, one of the things that the mayor there did, he sent out the distress signal to Batman. And I'm happy to report I'm calling out the census cowboy. If you see the census cowboy, that means you got to make sure that you fill out the census.
I am going to stop pollution with my new lovable character, Gary the No Trash Cougar. Pick up your trash!
Unchained and unstoppable.
We are now requiring all counties to close their indoor operations in the following sectors: restaurants, wineries, tasting rooms, movie theaters, family entertainment centers, zoos and museums, card rooms, and the shuttering of all bars.
No smoking, no drinking, no drugs, no guns, no foul language, no red meat. Land of the free.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
The first text that catches my eye here today. I hope you were watching Uncle Joe. Did he just say we have to send our kids to market? I believe he did. It would be cut 23. Yes.
To get our people to work and our kids to school safely, to get our kids to market swiftly, to power a clean energy revolution in this country, we need to modernize America's infrastructure.
Now, let me get this straight. The Marshfield Fair is over. The Big E is over, but we're going to have a kid selling market is going to be open. Surely that's going to be deadly for the transmission of a virus. The virus. 844-500-4242. You may not have noticed this today. It was in the Herald, but it was not mentioned at all in the Globe. That was the death toll from Massachusetts yesterday. Do you know what it was? I'm going to hold up my hand. 5 people dead in Massachusetts. And yet, it's going to kill us all. We're all going to die. Okay. Here I'm looking at the Wall Street Journal again, my newly delivered copy of the Wall Street Journal. California orders rollback of reopening as cases surge. They're spiking. They're skyrocketing. So this is a story that goes on and on and on, and I get down to the jump into the inside section off the front page, and there's still nothing about deaths. I turned to page A6. Where is it here? A6. Oh, deaths are up by more than 10%, but they don't even tell me what the deaths are. That's the only reference there is to deaths in the whole Wall Street Journal story off the front page. Why aren't they talking about deaths anymore? You know the answer to that question. They're trying to keep us scared. They want to keep us locked up and scared. And Charlie Parker just pay no attention to these declining death rates. The death rates are a lagging indicator. The numbers are going up in Florida. I haven't even counted the paragraphs into the Florida papers where they're reporting the deaths. I got to paragraph 20, and there were no mentions of deaths in Florida either. But yeah, it's a lagging indicator. Always remember that. 844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show.
You're enjoying your day, everything's going your way. Then along comes Charlie Parker. Always there to tell you about a new disease, a car accident or killer bees. We beg her to spare you,
Charlie, please.
but you can't stop
Charlie Parker.
Wonder what it was like at the staff meeting today for Charlie Parker in the corner office. Damn it. Don't we have any murder mosquitoes we can throw out there? Has somebody got a location of the homicide hornets?
Don't know.
Have they at least reached the central time zone?
Don't know.
This gag is running out of steam.
Did this just happen?
There were only 3 deaths in the nursing homes yesterday. Only 3. What is going on here? We have to keep this thing going through November the 3rd. For goodness sake. Somebody's got to get on this.
Well, now with the beaches reopening soon, it'll be the suicide sharks.
That's right. I'd forgotten about that. No, but suicide, it's not. The SEALs are committing suicide, I guess. But I don't know about it. Let's see. We'll figure something out. Anyway. 844-500-4242. We will be taking more calls on this as the afternoon goes on. 844-500-4242. Try not to let this destroy your faith in the COVID-19 reporting system, but we have a story Grace just handed me about more scams going on, or alleged scams. This is in Orlando. After Fox 35 News noticed errors in the state's report on positivity rates, stop me if you've heard this one before. The Florida Department of Health said that some laboratories have not been reporting negative test result data to the state. Countless labs have reported a 100% positivity rate, which means every single person tested was positive. Other labs had very high positivity rates. Orlando Health, for example, had a 98% positivity rate. Well, that's good news as you're booking your vacation trip to Disney World, right? Or Gatorland, which I prefer to Disney World. However, when Fox News contacted the hospital, they confirmed errors in the report. Orlando Health's positivity rate is only 9.4%, not 98%. Oh, they're only off by a factor of 10. It's just a rounding error. Orlando Veterans Medical Center reported a positivity rate of 76%. They called up the spokesman for the Veterans Medical Center, 6%, rather than 76%. Oh, okay. Florida is currently experiencing a surge in COVID-19 cases, reporting the state's daily reported cases have gone from 2,000 a day a month ago to over 12,000.
Who's the journalist that reported this?
Robert Gudarrama.
I have a feeling he's going to be looking for a job very shortly.
On Tuesday, state health officials reported the largest single-day increase in deaths yet, as 132 more were announced. They were announced. That doesn't mean they happened yesterday. 844-500-4242. You know, COVID-19 did one thing for sure, says 978. It shows how dumb liberals are and what spineless cowards the Republicans are. Not all, but most. What I can't believe is that nobody reads through these stories. Does anybody look beyond the headlines? Because the headlines are totally deceptive. They're just written by Democrats to scare the bleep out of the sheeple in the population, and they seem to be succeeding. All right, 844-500-4242. 508 says, posted Ever So Humble Pie Company on my Facebook page today. Lots of positive responses. We're not going to let the fascists destroy this good woman. That was Andrea Tabor. We had the owner of Ever So Humble Pie Company in East Walpole on last night. She's they're trying to cancel her for saying that the looters in Boston on at the end of May were she compared them to cockroaches. Now, she didn't say black or white or anything. She just said the looters were cockroaches. And guess what? Joe Biden has described the black kids at the pool where he was the lifeguard as roaches, but he's not being canceled, is he?
Andrea sent me an email today and said that so many of our listeners from Howie Carr Nation have stopped in to buy pies and offer their support. So
That's
just
great.
wanted you to know.
That's great. And we're going to try to get her some more ink and some more publicity as the days go by. But, if you're looking to get a really good pastry of any kind, including chicken pot pies, shepherd's pies, any of that kind of stuff, frozen, those are frozen. They're fantastic. And the scones, Grace and I were eating the scones today from Ever So Humble Pie Company. It's just a great place. 844-500-4242. We will take your calls when we come back. If you haven't tried Super Beets soft chews yet, you're missing out. The VIPs that are here, you're going to get some Super Beets here, probably in this break. We'll get you some for an energy boost as the show starts. It's a fantastic product. Super Beets soft chews combine non-GMO beets with a powerful new ingredient, grapeseed extract. The grapeseed extract used in Super Beets chews has been clinically shown to be twice as effective at supporting normal blood pressure as a healthy lifestyle alone. Better blood pressure means more energy the way nature intended, without the jittery caffeine or stimulants. Now you can take just 2 delicious chews a day, anytime, anywhere, to get the blood pressure support you need and the energy you want. I usually take my first Super Beets chew. It's wrapped like a candy, and it tastes kind of like a Starburst, but it's not sugar. It's just good material for your body. It's a good product, a healthy product. It's good for your blood pressure, good for your circulation, and it just gives you a boost of energy. I take one in the morning before I even have my first cup of coffee, and then I have one before the show starts for that needed boost of energy for the day. You'll get into the habit too. 2 a day, and you'll figure out when to do them as a nice habit. Do what I did and support your health heart with delicious Super Beets chews. Get your Super Beets chews today at superbeetsradio.com/Howie, and when you buy 2 bags, they'll throw in the 3rd one for free. That's superbeetsradio.com/Howie. VIPs, I'm going to go get you your Super Beets right now. I'm Howie Carr.
They call him the Trash Man, but we'll call him Captain Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Route 1 Grill House in Saugus, located just before the Cactus. From their steak tips and ribs, the Route 1 Grill House has it all. Open now 7 days a week for both outdoor and indoor dining.
They're outlandish, they're outrageous, and they're hypocrites. They're the women of The View.
Bernie was so menschy in that moment, like a real guy. I actually am aroused by him.
Timothy McVeigh was a Christian. Just saying. Hitler was a Christian. Well, he didn't like the Catholics.
Trump needs to be medicated and hospitalized at this point, or he is going to just kill all of us.
I mean, do we have to wait till the hammer and sickle is on the American flag before we stand up to this guy?
Joy, you've worn blackface.
I did not go in blackface, please.
No, she was not in blackface.
Thank you.
It was a Halloween party. I went as a beautiful African woman.
Did you have tanning lotion on,
A little, I had makeup that was a little bit darker than my skin.
I'm hoping Dr. Jill becomes a Surgeon General. She's a hell of a doctor. Whoopi, you said that Roman Polanski, it wasn't rape.
I know it wasn't rape.
Child molest, maybe? I'm not sure.
It was something. It was something else, but I don't believe it was rape.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you...
When I raise money... Excuse me. I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN. All right. And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried...
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, what do you say to your critics who say that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
What do you think? Do you think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news.
This is Alex from East Bridgewater, Mass.
This is Ann in Saco, Maine.
This is John Zuko from Hampton, Mass. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
Skip the hassle at the grocery store and sign up to get delicious, high-quality meat delivered fresh to your door at butcherbox.com/Howie. That's butcherbox.com/Howie. So I saw on TV today, they did another one of these polls, about asking, how scared are you? Are you worried about dying from the virus? Only today it was, are you worried that the children will be at risk? And it came out at 71% of parents said they're worried. I mean, again, 71%. Have they looked at the numbers? It's like Dr. Scott Atlas from Stanford said. Children have practically no chance of dying of this. The death rate in Massachusetts for children under the age of 20, people under the age of 20, remains 0. The actual number of deaths remains 0. What exactly are you afraid of? 71%? I don't believe these numbers. I just don't believe it. I don't believe Charlie Baker's favorability rating is close to 80% either. Certainly not among Republicans, not among people going to be voting in the 2022 primary. Taylor, what is the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Are children at risk if the schools reopen in the fall?
No.
90% say no.
I mean, they're at risk of being struck by lightning if there's a thunderstorm going on when they walk in. They're in risk. They're at risk if the brakes fail on the school bus. I mean, anything can happen. But come on, shutting down the schools, ridiculous. 844-500-4242. Let's see. Here's one. This is from drove from New Hampshire to Ever So Humble in East Walpole today for a shepherd's pie, a Canadian meat pie, and 3 tea breads. That'll feed 8 people dinner with dessert, and it costs less than $50. I said hello to the owner and told her I heard her on your show. Thank you. Thanks for doing that. Andrea's a great person, and her food is great. And go to Ever So Humble Pies in East Walpole, and we're going to try to get her. Like I said, she has her lobstersanywhere.com is where you can buy her products online. 844-500-4242, 561. I'm a lot less concerned about the kids than I am for the teachers. Well, you heard Atlas say that most of the teachers are under the age of 40, and again, the chances of dying if you're under the age of 40 are practically nil too. I use that number every day of people under the age of 50 in Massachusetts, and it's 137 again today. hadn't moved for a day or two. And most of that 137 is people between the ages of 40 and 50. Yes,
Howie,
Grace.
you know the quickest way we could get the kids back to school?
Have Donald Trump say, let's keep them out.
Exactly.
Right.
I have a cousin who's a teacher, and she told me that this weekend. She said, I really wish he would just come out against the schools opening, and then we could all go back.
Right. And he should say he thinks it's a really good idea for everybody in Florida and California and Texas to have a mask on. And then the mask will be gone. Probably within 2 or 3 hours. 844-500-4242. Let's try Boxcar. Go ahead, Boxcar. Hello?
Yes, hi, Howie. Howie, I was reading an article this weekend on a site called Zero Hedge, and the guy who wrote it backed up every one of his claims that it was with scientific data. And he came up with this thing that says Sweden has already achieved herd immunity.
Yes.
And he goes, their rate of death is actually going down now because a lot of people have developed antibodies to this virus.
Right.
And there's an old, from the 1890s, a guy by the name of Farr, he was a scientist back then, that said viruses will peak and then they will, once they reach their peak, the death rate will start going down, and that's a sign that the virus has no place else to go because people develop herd immunity.
Right, herd immunity. And you know, Boxcar, what's interesting is it's unfortunate those numbers in Florida aren't correct, that it's not 80 or 76% of the people testing positive, because that would mean that we had developed herd immunity, right? And it would be over. I mean, this is just why are they still trying to push this? And if anything, they're tightening down on it. Someone just sent me, said, Port St. Lucie, Florida, now you have to wear masks all the time. Come on. I mean, most of these outbreaks in Florida, I think, are in the migrant camps, not even the nursing homes. 844-500-4242. Someone says, I assume you're going to get into the what happened in the state Senate early this morning. They passed a so-called police reform bill. And they're going to make it easier for people to sue the police, and that's I don't think that bill is going to go anywhere in the House. The House is going to come up with its own version, and I think the House is a real dictatorship, and I don't think that DeLeo is going to let something like that go through. So I'm not that concerned about it, but still, the vote was 30-7, and there are only 4 Republicans left in the state Senate, only 4 out of 40, and 2 of them voted present. How pathetic is that? Including the Republican leader of the Senate, Bruce Tarr. Very, very disappointing in the Republican leadership. 844-500-4242. Gene, you're next with no time. We don't have any time. We'll take some more. 844-500-4242. 413 says, Ghislaine Maxwell doesn't get bail. Did you you didn't think she was going to get bail, did you? Come on. Talk about a high flight risk. Oh, my God. Although if I were her, I wouldn't want to flee. Would you? Not that they know where I live now. I'm Howie Carr.
If you're thinking of replacing your carpets due to pet stains and odors, you must try Genesis 950 first. It breaks down the bonds of stains and odors so that they're gone from carpets and padding for good. You don't need to buy new carpeting. You don't need to buy new padding. You just need to get Genesis 950. You can use it in a carpet cleaning machine, and it's safe for family and pets. It's the go-to cleaner for when Mr. Gooner has an accident, as older pugs and other dogs often do. 1 gallon of industrial strength Genesis 950 makes up to 7 gallons of cleaner. How's it working for you, McKay?
It's working really well, especially with the collie I just adopted. He's still a baby, so he still has some accidents in the house. It even killed the odor to where he doesn't go back to where it would have marked his scent.
Genesis 950 is also great for kitchens, garages, grease stains, wheels, tires, and more. It's made in America. Order a gallon direct at Genesis950.com. That's Genesis950.com. Enter code Howie to get more than a $10 value in savings, including a spray bottle and free shipping. That's Genesis950.com. Enter code Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr. You are known as a cheap bastard. Which one of your daughters is the cheapest and why?
Charlotte is the cheapest, and I say that because she's always using my credit card. We keep changing the credit cards over and over again, and she keeps busting in and using them again. Most recently, just this week, she spent $75 at AT&T.
What's the cheapest thing you do now to save money?
The cheapest thing I do currently to save money, I guess, is I take all the bottles and cans back to the market basket every weekend. I always like to save that money. You know, I can't stand to throw those bottles and cans away and have the unclaimed returns go to the state of Massachusetts for illegal aliens.
Do you recycle?
Yes, I do recycle. When I got on the town meeting, I saw that the town dump was probably the only department in the town that was running in the black, and it's because of all the recycling that was going on. So I try to keep my taxes down that way. Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. hairman.com/Howie.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
You might hear a lot about Bernie, Biden, and Elizabeth Warren, but what about the lightweights who are running for president? Here's a best of the B team.
I've listened to some of my colleagues, Mr. Glover, tell you how much they like your movies. And I have to say, we didn't come here to talk about your movies. We came here to talk about your activism. I like your activism. I also like your movies, but I want to give you a chance because I haven't heard the other side other than tell you that they like they like your movies.
I think the NRA is the worst organization in this country for doing exactly that. They care more about the profits than the American people.
I learned a long time ago about polling. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. I mean, right now, I got nowhere to go but up.
Millions living in the shadows, working some of the toughest jobs, kept in modern-day bondage.
People commit crime. Crime happens.
I have won every single congressional district in my state, including Michelle Bachmann's, okay? That's when you guys are supposed to cheer.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. I got to find this snitch line that Charlie Parker has set up for people who don't obey the rules. Someone told me about that this morning, and I haven't seen it yet. I gotta check that out. Can you see if Grace can find the snitch line? Speaking of snitches, Ted Cruz was not wearing a mask on an American Airlines flight. I guess he was flying back to D.C., and there was a Democrat operative on the plane, and he was taking pictures of him. Captured today at 10:45 a.m. Ted Cruz on a commercial flight refusing to wear a mask. Oh, no. For those trying to argue that he was drinking a cup of coffee, it's not hard to have a mask on and undo one side to take a sip, then put it back on. Most people take their time drinking coffee. Also, here's a photo of him sitting outside the gate. Didn't he self-quarantine a couple of months ago because he tested positive? Not that he got sick. Like most people who test positive, he didn't get sick. But so he's already tested positive. Good Lord! So of course they want to. So of course all the trolls want to. They want to have an investigation of this. American Airlines let him violate their own rules and put all of its passengers' lives in jeopardy. In jeopardy. Oh my goodness! Where's the snitch line? I'm going to report him to Charlie Parker. Is it worse to not wear a mask or to grope a woman while she's sleeping on the flight back from D.C., like his son allegedly did? 844-500-4242-978 says, I'm going to turn in pay-to-play Polito for having a big graduation party in Gropey Baker, that's the governor's son, for not maintaining social distance on an airplane. If you grope the woman sitting next to you, is that maintaining social distancing? Is it okay to grope a woman if you're wearing a mask, or do you have to wear gloves before you grope a woman? I'm just these are questions for Charlie Parker's next press conference. Gene, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Gene.
Hey, Howie, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thank you.
How are you today?
Good.
Hey, this in regards to I'm 75, live in Clinton. In regards to this bill the Senate passed last night, well, I don't trust them. I don't trust our House. So if it goes through, if the House passes it, I think immediately, as soon as it's announced, that the policemen's unions, the firemen unions, EMTs, everybody that is getting hurt by this qualified immunity segment of it should walk out, go on strike. That way it'd force the governor not to sign it, to veto it.
You know, the thing is, though, I think what he would do is his veto is meaningless anyway. I mean, 30-7, that's way over 2/3, and especially when he's got Republicans, walking away and refusing to vote against it. How bad is it when there's 7 votes against it and 5 of them are Democrats? I mean, the Democrats, especially the ones from Boston, knew that what a disaster the thing was. But see, what I think what'll happen is he'll get a totally different bill in the House, and then they'll have a conference committee, and they'll try to work it out, and they'll have some kind of compromise, and then it'll still be unacceptable to the unions, I would think. And so it will go to Charlie Parker, and he won't veto it because that would be a meaningless exercise. Although he's been known to make meaningless exercises, like when they got the pay raises for the legislature and the judges. But what I think he'll do is send it back with amendments, and then they'll try to work out something more. But I mean, again, limited immunity. It doesn't mean you're not going to be charged if you're a cop and you kill somebody. It just means that you can't be sued civilly. If they're gonna take away immunity from prosecution, from civil liability, from the cops and also the firefighters and the EMTs, as Gene said, what about the politicians? Can we have the politicians lose their immunity? Okay, here it is. This is the snitch line for mass government. Can we tweet that out too? Take these steps to report. Can I have some Twilight Zone music? Or do you have some East German music, some Stasi music here? Take these steps to report a business or workplace that is non-compliant. I like that. Oh, that's an Orwellian word, non-compliant, with reopening standards and protocols. Contact your local Board of Health and the Department of Labor Standards. If you would like to report a business or workplace that is non-compliant with the underlined boldface mandatory workplace safety standards, or with their mandatory boldface, sector-specific protocols. Please. That's John Philip Sousa music. I'm not getting that.
It's an Imperial German march.
Yeah, but it's. I'm getting an Independence Day vibe from that music. Please reach out to your local Board of Health. Contact information for your local Board of Health can be found here. You may also report noncompliance to the Department of Labor Standards, DLS, through the hotline or by sending an email to Safe Public Workplace Mailbox at mass.gov. DLS will call or email the complainant within 72 hours if an investigation is warranted. So if you want to get your first driver's license and you're 16 years old, you may have to wait 5 months. But if you want to rat out somebody who's you don't think was wearing a mask when they made you your submarine sandwich, they'll be right on it like stink on you-know-what. Good Lord. When a case is open, DLS will investigate if the business is in compliance. The process includes collaborating. Oh, there's a nice word from Vichy, France. Collaborating with the local Board of Health and health agent. If a violation is determined to have occurred, escalating enforcement will be issued until the violation is corrected. 844-500-4242. 207. I reported Janet Mills to the main snitch line. She didn't social distance or wear a mask at a local ice cream stand in Stonington. Yeah, how about does New Jersey have a snitch line? Let's report Governor Murphy. You know, when he was leading the peaceful protesters, so-called, in Trenton. And how about Cuomo in New York and De Blasio? Julio, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Julio.
Hey, Howie, how you doing, Howie?
Good.
Hey, man, listen, I've been listening to you a lot of years. I'm a first-time caller, but I've been listening to you for a long time. We go back to 7 years. But I just want to say one thing, Howie. You know, this world is going to get better. This United States is going to get better. It's going to get better when we find out one thing.
What's that?
We're always talking about the Constitution. Let me finish. We're always talking about the Constitution. And, you know, all I've heard my whole life, these 56 years, is that if you vote, that's when it becomes law. But if people agitate, because a lot of people don't understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. You disagree with a lot of things that's going on. A lot of people disagree. Then you have people don't even have no logic, no understanding, so they go along with whatever's happening.
Right.
But we have to try to stop thinking this is a Republican and a Democratic thing. This is a people thing, and we have the opportunity right now to show this is a people thing. I'm a black man, proud of it. Ain't nothing you can say about me. I'm a proud black man. I had 2 good parents. I was raised in a 2-family household. Did all that bullshit. Went to the Army. Sorry, I didn't mean to cuss.
Whoa! Don't do that again. Go ahead.
I won't, I promise. But we've done all that before, and I listen to you. Man, you may forget your name, but we listen to you all the time. Just make sure you say there are people who don't like this. There are people who don't like that. But see, as long as you say Democrat, Republican, you make people agitated.
I know, Julio. I don't. You know, I just said that. You know, of the 7 people who did the right thing on this ridiculous bill that was passed in the dead of night or the early morning hours in the state Senate, 5 of them were Democrats. I have nothing against Democrats. It's just the Democrats have gone a little crazy in recent years, and in this case, they had more sense than the Republicans. Although, you know, I guess you could say by percentage, you know, half of the Republicans did the right thing, and how many? So there's 36. So only 14% of the Democrats did the right thing, but it still seems better than usual. 844-500-4242. I think 603 is right, Taylor. He says that what we need is the Star Wars Evil Imperial March. That's what we need. That's the stuff Rush Limbaugh used to play.
Somebody
in the
said
early days.
The Hogan's Hero theme.
Yeah, but that makes it seem amusing. When the local Board of Health comes and writes me a $1,000 ticket, I'm not laughing. I want, if you're coming into my store, I want you to be a Sergeant Schultz and see nothing. Dave, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Dave. Thanks for the call, Julio. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, Howie, thanks for taking my call. Hey, quick question. Wow, if you got a $1,000 ticket, that's 20,000 cans you'd have to hand in. But question, for the people who voted last night, the 30 or so Democrats who voted, how many of them received campaign contributions from the Democrats last night? And this is the thanks they got for decades of support from the unions. I'm talking the police union, firefighters union, teachers union.
You're right. It's beyond just the law enforcement unions. This was a slap in the face of all the unions, all the public sector unions. Dave, you're absolutely correct. If I were the public sector unions, any of them, I'd be very concerned about this vote last night. I agree. Go ahead.
Well, if it does happen to go through in our state or other states and stuff like that, it becomes like a nationwide trend. Watch Trump step in, federalize the police force, and say, if you're not going to protect them, I will, and he'll win in the landslide.
I don't know that he has the authority to federalize the police. I don't even know if I want it. Do you want a federal police force? How's the FBI? That's a federal police force. How's that working out for everybody? It's not working out so good if you're just trying to exercise your First Amendment rights as a non-member of the deep state. 844-500-4242. With 2020 as crazy as it's already been, you really start to appreciate the little things. I know I haven't talked about ButcherBox in a while, but my monthly delivery of meat is a convenience I look forward to. It's one less thing I need to worry about, especially when going to the grocery store can be such a hassle. It becomes one of your favorite days of the month when you see that ButcherBox box on your front porch or in your driveway or in the apartment complex lobby. It's great. You know you're all set for meat for the month, and you know you're going to get, if you want to, you can customize the box and you can get cuts of meat that usually you can only get at real gourmet butcher shops or at the top-end, high-end steakhouses. You can get anything you want from ButcherBox, and it's all superb. ButcherBox makes accessing high-quality meat easier and more affordable than ever. They source their meat from farms with the best practices, ensuring that the meat you get is humanely raised without antibiotics or added hormones ever. From free-range organic chicken to heritage breed pork, 100% grass-fed and grass-finished beef to fresh-caught seafood like salmon and scallops. ButcherBox has over 20 different cuts of meat to choose from, and their boxes ship fresh right to your door. And their website is loaded with awesome recipes that the entire family will love. You're going to love ButcherBox, and order now and get on board, become a subscriber so you can have plenty of meat to barbecue all through the summer months. It's the best time of the year to be a ButcherBox subscriber. Sign up for ButcherBox today at butcherbox.com/Howie. That's butcherbox.com/Howie. butcherbox.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
He's New England's talk radio king. He's Howie Carr.
This half hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Roman. Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Go to getroman.com/Howie to get a free online visit and free 2-day shipping.
He's the gaff that keeps on giving. Here's 1 minute of former Vice President Joe Biden.
You teachers who touch them, figuratively speaking, well, I hope you touch them and tell them how much you love them too. But my point is, when you touch their hearts.
I get in trouble some of the things I say, but I want to tell you, just be straight up. If I'm your president, with me it starts here in my gut, it goes to my heart, and then I articulate it.
And by the way, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. 1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
We all shop online, and now you could do it a better way with Honey. Honey is the free online shopping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. Just download Honey to your computer and shop on all your favorite websites like normal. When you check out, just click the Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Macy's, Etsy, and more. And Honey has found over $2 billion in savings for its users. That's why it has over 100,000 five-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. It's 100% free to use and installs in seconds. Plus, it's backed by PayPal, so you know it's secure and reliable. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. So get Honey for free today at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie. And now, another minute of Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
But again, don't...
You have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
That's like 5 people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame. Except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation of the women power that is coming forth now, but only one manifestation. It was like getting kicked in the back by a mule constantly. It was physical. It was so unbelievable. The Times found Lincoln. Not to be presumptuous to put ourselves in those categories, but the Times have found us.
Hi, this is Val from Longmeadow, Mass.
Hi, this is Tony and Pietra from Haverhill, Massachusetts.
This is Myrnie in Fairfax County, Virginia, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
Contact your local Board of Health and the Department of Labor Standards. DLS will call or email the complaint within 72 hours if an investigation is warranted, comrades. When a case is open, DLS will investigate if the business is in compliance with the Politburo protocol. The process includes collaborating with the local Board of Health and health agents. If a violation is determined to have occurred, escalating enforcement will be issued until the violation is corrected. Hi, Alpaca. Sandra, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Sandra.
Hey, Howie. So I'm calling because I was talking to somebody the other day about the whole mask thing, and I was thinking about the fact that, you know, she was saying, of course, like, this is for everybody's health. It's just to be nice. You know, it's about everybody else. Okay. So here's my point. I can't afford health insurance. My husband has a private business, and I'm sure I'm not alone. Insurance costs are crazy. It would cost us like $1,400 a month to have insurance. So I'm out here winging it with no health insurance whatsoever. Yes. So the reason why the health insurance is so expensive is because mostly of stuff that's totally preventable, like heart disease and type 2 diabetes. So if I can't go in and tell somebody what junk food they're not allowed to buy, so they're giving themselves health problems that make it impossible for me to have health insurance, then if I can't tell them what to put in their mouth, they shouldn't be able to tell me what to put on my mouth.
You know what, Sandra? That is really a good point. I hadn't thought about it in those terms. You remember a few years back when they were trying to reform EBT cards, and some people were saying, well, you know, why are people that are getting EBT cards, most of whom are on Mass Health or in some other forms of welfare, why are they allowed to buy these products, like you say, junk food, sugar, soft drinks, stuff that is demonstrably bad for them and leads to comorbidities, to use the popular word, like diabetes or heart disease. And the liberals always said, you can't tell people what to eat. Remember that? They raised hell when people said, well, you shouldn't be able to buy a Little Debbie or Ho-Hos with EBT cards. They said you have no right to tell somebody what to eat. Well, why do they have a right to tell me about a mask? And again, they keep coming up with all of this, all of these conflicting reports. Fauci, one day he's for the mask, the next day he's against the masks. What is it? Charlie Baker says the masks are very necessary, but don't buy the good masks because we have to save them for the first responders. Now they've decided they don't like the first responders, and they're going to take away their rights not to get sued. I mean, everything just changes from one Twitter outburst to the next. Thank you, Sandra. That is a really good point you raised. Bill, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Bill.
Yes, I'm Bill. I got a little different accent than some of your other clients, but
that's okay.
My question is this: if the teachers are going to have the classes online, as they voted to do in 3 counties here in Georgia, where I live,
yes,
I don't think we need half the teachers or more that we currently have, because one person puts together the lesson plan and then sends it out to all these kids on their computers. So I think we ought to be able to furlough at least half the teachers, furlough all the cafeteria workers.
Bill, how about a property tax cut? If the schools aren't going to be open and the cafeterias aren't going to be open and the school buses aren't running, I mean, it's going to cost a lot less money to run those schools virtually, right? They ought to cut all of our taxes, not just in Georgia, but also across the country. I'm Howie Carr.
Do you have no water, poor water quality, or low pressure? This is Howie Carr. Call the local water service experts, Skillings & Sons. They're ready with 24-hour service with no extra charge for after-hours calls. And a fleet of trucks stocked with parts to make sure you're not without water. With over 50 years of experience, they take pride in having a family of employees that are the best in the business. For all things water, Skillings & Sons is there for you. SkillingsandSons.com.
Alexander Hamilton said, "Those who stand for nothing will fall for anything." This is Toby from Cape Gunworks. When our founding fathers drafted the Second Amendment, there was no question of its meaning. Today, if you have questions, come to Cape Gunworks for some advice, training, or to send a few rounds downrange. We have a fully stocked pro shop with a huge selection of guns, crossbows, archery, classes, rentals, a 15-lane range, and a friendly staff. Come on down to Cape Gunworks, Airport Road, Hyannis, or capegunworks.com.
And now, some of my favorite fake Indian cuts of all time. Oh, la, 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 la.
I'm not going to ask you for your favorite curse word. Actually, I am. Do you have a favorite curse word?
Poop.
Poop? Oh, that's a goody two-shoes favorite curse word if I ever heard one.
Are you kidding? Have you ever seen a woman like me look you straight in the face after you finished some long explanation of something and then just said, poop? Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
I am not sure what she's talking about as far as a rally with.
It was a rally in Bern, Oregon, is that you have to figure out who you are. I grew up in a family that was barely hanging on to the ragged edge of the middle class. And my Aunt Bee has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians do.
Here's 1 minute of Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
There's a lot of restaurants that are feeling the pain of racism, where people are literally not patroning Chinese restaurants. They're not patroning Asian restaurants because of just straight up racism around the coronavirus. So,
only in America does the president, when the president tweets about liberation, does he mean go back to work? When we, have this discussion about going back or reopening, I think a lot of people should just say no. We're not going back to that.
I know it sounds banal.
Do we know how long puppies
are allowed to stay with their mothers after a dog has given birth?
I don't.
8 weeks. Wow. So the market has decided that women and people who give birth deserve less time with their children than a dog.
So the whole premise of the Green New Deal is that we're screwed.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
And now, 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
It is a bill that is much needed for our farmers and ranchers. I think there are only 47 votes against it in the House of Representatives. The American people should know the source of it. Again, we are engaged in the year-end continuing resolution, Homeland Security. I'm not sure. No, I haven't spoken to him since he called the other day, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. And I talked to Chuck last night to say, we haven't had an answer. There are other things that are going on that are newsworthy, and I think you'd have more viewers or readers if people address concerns that people have. The list goes on about the President Trump is clearly ethically unfit and intellectually unprepared to be the president of the United States. And I support Chairwoman. In the coming weeks, the House will hold hearings. Congresswoman Harris, Senator Harris. He's our president, and I would rather he not be taking something that has not been approved, especially in his age group and in his, shall we say, weight group, what is morbidly obese, they say. So completely inappropriate in so many ways that it's almost a given. It's like a child who comes in with mud on their pants or something. That's the way it is. They're outside playing. That's what he comes in with doggy doo on his shoes, and everybody who works with him has that on their shoes too. But I only will do that if you tell me that this legislation is worthy of George Kirby's name. This moment of national anguish.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show. You can call him Fat Boy, just don't call him late for dinner. He's Howie Carr.
We will bring over your entire family from the third world Muslim hellhole that they live in so that they can have an all-expenses-paid, taxpayer-funded with open bar weekend at a nice hotel in Boston, get a nice sightseeing tour, maybe take them to Fenway Park for a game, so they can see their savage Muslim terrorist kinsman sentenced to death. But the President of the United States of America can't be allowed to speak before Parliament because he's such a terrible barbarian, as opposed to the dictator of Red China. And I'm going to call it Red China. Since the Dems are down on Russia, we might as well go after all the communist dictatorships that are left, right? Russia isn't even a communist dictatorship; it's just authoritarian now. But let's call it Red China. With all the uncertainty in the world, feeling safe at home has never been more important. It's why I want to talk to you about Simply Safe Home Security. They're longtime friends of the Howie Carr Show. And for good reason. Simply Safe has made it easy to finally get comprehensive protection for your home. There's no technician or salesperson that needs to come and disrupt your house. You don't need to pay any outrageous monthly fees or sign a 2-year contract. You just order online, set it up yourself in under an hour, and your home is protected 24/7 with emergency dispatch for break-ins, fire, and more. All for just 50 cents a day. And we're not the only fans of Simply Safe. U.S. News and World Report named Simply Safe Best Overall Home Security of 2020. Go to simplysafehowie.com to try it out for yourself. That's simplysafehowie.com to make sure they know that our show sent you. That's simplysafehowie.com.
Brace yourself, guys. Here is 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
I myself have always been for lowering the voting age to 16. I think it's really important to capture kids when they're in high school, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. That they wanted their voices to be heard. I don't think our colleague is anti-Semitic. I think she has a different experience in the use of words. That's not the total package, but there are some of the major points of discussion, I would hope, from sea to shining sea, because they did.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
As the Secretary of Education, should schools in the United States follow the CDC recommendations? These are recommendations, and every situation is going to look slightly different because every school building is different. Every school population is different. These are smart people. They can figure out what is going to be right for their specific situation.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
I think what we heard from the Secretary was malfeasance and dereliction of duty. Going back to school presents the biggest risk for the spread of the coronavirus.
That's just completely wrong and contrary to all the science. The risk to children from this disease for fatality is nearly zero. In the United States, half the teachers are 40 or less and a quarter of them are under 30. They have almost zero risk from this.
Oh, back to school. Back to school.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
When the city of Gotham had a real difficult challenge, one of the things that the mayor there did, he sent out the distress signal to Batman. And I'm happy to report I'm calling out the census cowboy. If you see the census cowboy, that means you got to make sure that you fill out the census.
I am going to stop pollution with my new lovable character, Gary the No Trash Cougar. Pick up your trash!
Unchained and unstoppable.
We are now requiring all counties to close their indoor operations in the following sectors: restaurants, wineries, tasting rooms, movie theaters, family entertainment centers, zoos and museums, card rooms, and the shuttering of all bars.
No smoking, no drinking, no drugs, no guns, no foul language, no red meat. Land of the free.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Governor Newsom, I have a question. What if I have a bar and I say I'm going to have a protest there? Can I open the bar? How about the bowling alley or the movie theater? Can I have protests at my movie theater, my bowling alley? This is just, I don't know. The problem is manageable, but they want to make it unmanageable in order to defeat Donald Trump. That's all there is to it. They mentioned the surging rates of increase today in Florida in the Palm Beach Post, with one of the local newspapers I read, and they didn't mention deaths until the 18th paragraph. It's so surging and spiking and skyrocketing, they didn't mention deaths at all in the Wall Street Journal front page story today. They said on the jump page, they said deaths are up 10%, but they didn't say up 10% from what? They didn't mention any numbers. There must be a reason why they're not mentioning deaths. There must not be enough to scare people with. All right, we've switched around the seating here a little bit so that we wouldn't have a problem so much with the microphones, the mics. So that's why we have changed it around some. So Grace,
it's actually in Grace's contract that she gets to sit next to you now instead
Yes.
of on another screen.
I like this seat, Howie.
You like it, huh?
I
Okay.
do. Let's start with a story that really took over Twitter today. I think it's pronounced Bari Weiss, who writes or did write for the New York Times, has resigned. And she wrote about this on her blog. She wrote a long piece explaining her resignation. And
she wrote a letter to the publisher of the New York Times, I think.
It was bad for the New York Times. It was good for us and it was good for Bari, but it was bad for them. Some of the things she said this is the one that I like the most. She said that the Twitter has become the ultimate editor at the New York Times. In a nearly 1,500-word resignation letter posted on her personal website, Weiss accused the Times of abandoning its journalistic principles to, quote, satisfy the narrowest of audiences rather than to allow a curious public to read about the world and then draw into their own conclusions, end quote. Twitter is not the masthead of the New York Times, but Twitter has become its ultimate editor, as the ethics and mores of that platform have become those of the paper. The paper itself has increasingly become a kind of performance space. She also goes on, Howie, to talk about how she was bullied by people she worked with. People were calling her racist.
Right. Let me read a little bit of that. My own forays into wrongthink, again, this is an editor of the New York Times, have made me the subject of constant bullying by colleagues who disagree with my views. They have called me a Nazi and a racist. I have learned to brush off comments about how I'm, quote, writing about the Jews again, unquote. Several colleagues perceived to be friendly with me were badgered by coworkers. Some coworkers insist I need to be rooted out if this company is to be a truly inclusive one. Still other New York Times employees publicly smear me as a liar and a bigot on Twitter with no fear that harassing me will be met with appropriate action. They never are. There are terms for all of this, said Bari Weiss. Unlawful discrimination, hostile work environment, and constructive discharge. I'm no legal expert, but I know that this is wrong. The truth is that intellectual curiosity, let alone risk-taking, is now a liability at the New York Times.
Can I read a line I like? She said, the lessons that ought to have followed the election have not been learned. Instead, a new consensus has emerged in the press, but perhaps especially at this paper, that truth isn't a process of collective discovery, but an orthodoxy already known to an enlightened few whose job it is to inform everyone else.
This sounds like what Donald Trump is saying every day. He just says it in more blunt, direct terms when he talks about very fake news and about how the New York Times ought to return its Pulitzer Prize for
fake news.
Its Russian collusion hoax stories. The paper of record is more and more the record of those living in a distant galaxy, one whose concerns are profoundly removed from the lives of most people. Isn't that the truth? This is a galaxy in which, to choose just a few recent examples, the Soviet space program is lauded for its diversity. The doxing of teenagers in the name of justice is condoned, and the worst caste systems in human history includes the United States alongside Nazi Germany.
I have to say, I was not a big reader of Bari's before this piece. I did not know her. I don't read the New York Times often.
Nor do I.
But I will be reading her now because she's a great writer.
Where will you be reading her now, though?
Probably her website. I think it's bariweiss.com or something like that.
Yeah.
She has a very nice way, Howie, of writing.
I told you I just, started getting the Wall Street Journal delivered again to my new place in Wellesley. And so I woke up today, Grace, and I went outside the door to pick up my Wall Street Journal. They'd made a mistake. They'd given me the New York Times.
Oh, no.
I didn't even want to take it across the hall, actually, to exchange it with the Wall Street Journal, but I did. I hate the New York Times now. I never really liked it all that much. It was never a fun read.
What was the paper that Bernie Sanders got caught stealing off his neighbors?
The Washington Post.
Okay. Just wanted to be sure that you're safe.
No, I just switched it. They just flipped it to the wrong door.
I agree with you, though, about the New York Times. It is kind of a heavy read. Even sometimes the setup of a newspaper helps you read it, the way they design the front page and stuff. And theirs is always, you just know it's dripping with lessons to be learned for all of the credulous boomer rubes out there?
For an example, and I couldn't find the story today. I must have thrown it away. A couple of days ago, they had a story. Churches are spreading the coronavirus. And there have been, 3 million cases of whatever, testing positive or however you want to describe it. And they had identified 650 cases that could be blamed on churches. And that was a front page story in the New York Times. 650 cases out of X number of million cases. And they were blaming it all on, as you said, credulous boomer rubes returning to church.
That's one thing I've noticed in all of these publications, all of the mainstream media. If you go to a barbecue with your family and you get coronavirus and die, they love putting out, man who hosted barbecue dies of coronavirus. It's like they're writing a spite obituary for you. But if you were to go to a Black Lives Matter rally and get coronavirus, I don't think that would be the headline. I think it would be, social justice warrior or, beloved, whatever, passes away. I don't think it would be, see, priest who encouraged people to go to church died of coronavirus.
No, and well, to give you another example, today there was a story out of some Oklahoma health department saying there was not a spike in cases in Tulsa after the president's rally a few weeks ago. Do you think that story is going to be in the New York Times tomorrow? No, of course not.
According to Bari Weiss, no. There's not a lot of room for those kind of stories at the New York Times.
Nowadays, standing up for principles at the paper does not win plaudits. It puts a target on your back. Too wise to post on Slack, my colleagues write to me privately about the quote-unquote new McCarthyism that has taken root at the paper of record. Rule number 1, and this applies to a lot of places where people work now. It's the same thing. You have to go to Diversity University and you have to, listen quietly as the worst kind of leftist nonsense is spouted. Rule number 1, speak your mind at your own peril. Risk number 2, never risk commissioning a story that goes against the narrative. See, she used to assign op-ed pieces. So her boss was this guy, Michael Bennett, or Michael Bennett's brother. I forget what his name was, but one of them's the senator from Colorado, and the other one was the opinion editor of the New York Times. So the opinion editor of the New York Times got fired for printing an opinion column by a United States senator. Rule number 3, never believe an editor or publisher who urges you to go against the grain. Eventually, the publisher will cave to the mob. The editor will get fired or reassigned, and you'll be hung out to dry. What a sad situation.
It's so sad, Howie, and what it makes me think of is, so yesterday we had Andrea Tabor in from Ever So Humble Pie Company, and that was a person who was writing on their private Facebook account, and their business suffered because of it. There are a lot of people who just choose not to write about politics because they don't want to, deal with the ramifications, which is sad in itself. But if you work at the New York Times and you can't have an individual opinion, then where are we at? If your job is to have an interesting opinion that people want to read, and you're working at a place that says, nope, we don't like that one, that's not their job to decide. Their job is to decide, will people want to pick this up and read it, not does it fit our narrative?
Yeah. She said, why are we publishing our 4,000th op-ed arguing that Donald Trump is a unique danger to the country and the world? That's so true. The last amusing thing I find in the New York Times, if I don't buy it, but if someone hands me the book review, I like to go through the book review and just start out and see how many paragraphs in do they mention Donald Trump as being the greatest danger to the planet since the comet that killed the dinosaurs.
You could play that game at graduation speeches too. Back when we used to have graduations, it was like, how long is it going to take this speaker, this usually wealthy white person, to bring up how much they hate Donald Trump? You could put it on your watch. Usually 5 minutes.
By the way, Grace, someone has just mentioned that we are not social distancing and that we could be reported to the Governor Charlie Parker snitch line.
How dare you?
Please don't snitch on us. Come on, guys.
This isn't real, you see. This is just TV. So there's no need to call your local snitch line because a lot of states have them now. So this is just a figment of your televised imagination here.
And isn't it something like there is a number of people you could have in a room, and we are definitely below that number. So
yeah,
I think we're good.
All right. 844-500-42.
42. If you're thinking about replacing your carpets due to pet stains and odors, you must try Genesis 950 first. It breaks down the bonds of stains and odors so they're gone from carpets and padding for good. You can use it in a carpet cleaning machine, and it's green, so it's safe for family and pets. It's the go-to cleaner for when my dog, Mr. Gooner, has an accident, as older dogs so often do.
I heard from the mailroom manager that's happening more and more frequently. The accidents.
We're using a lot of Genesis 950 at my place. But fortunately, we have not just Genesis 950, we also have copies of the New York Times to clean it up with.
Oh, perfect.
Before you purchase new carpeting, you must try Genesis 950. 1 gallon of industrial strength Genesis 950 makes up to 7 gallons of cleaner, and it's not just for pet stains, it's also a disinfectant that kills viruses. It's also great for kitchens, garages, grease stains, wheels, tires, and more. Save yourself the trouble of going to the store, whether it's the supermarket or the hardware store, and seeing your favorite cleaner sold out again. Genesis 950 is made in America, and as we like to say, buy American, support America. Order a gallon direct at genesis950.com. Enter code Howie to get more than a $10 value in savings, including a spray bottle and free shipping. That's genesis950.com. Enter code Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
You're tuned into the Howie Carr Radio Network.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Terry Riley of Robert Paul Properties. Terry is your Cape Cod real estate expert. Her vast experience will help you navigate the market and make the process easy and fun. Call Terry Riley at 508-776-6182.
Here's 1 minute with Governor
Charlie Parker in Massachusetts.
I'd certainly put myself on that list. I'm a basketball player. I always was.
There's a lot at stake here.
This is not a virus to be trifled with or disrespected.
Respect the virus.
I have a hard time understanding when we're going to be able to play basketball again.
We can start talking about a gradual, careful, data-driven, phased reopening. Don't let a few nice days step on that.
I need to talk to the Attorney General and find out what the actual parameters of the ruling are. Did this just happen? And the reason I read that story is because I'm a basketball player and I agree. I was first made aware of the discrepancy on this on the day that the registrar resigned. The vast majority, and I mean like the vast majority of the people who are part of these protests are there to make a point and to make it peacefully. That is so obvious, I'm amazed that anybody could say anything other than that. I would love to be able to open everything up tomorrow. That would be an incredibly irresponsible thing to do.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day. Once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just 1 scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think 1 left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian.
The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book.
I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
The
This is Mark in Williston, Vermont.
This is Marie in Somerville, Massachusetts.
This is Mike from South Attleboro, Mass. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
Skip the hassle at the grocery store and sign up to get delicious, high-quality meat delivered fresh right to your door at butcherbox.com/Howie. That's butcherbox.com/Howie. There's a new poll out today saying 71% of the American public are worried that their children or the children will be at risk if they open the schools in the fall. Again, it's another one of these polls I just don't believe. I cannot imagine that 71% of the population is that ignorant. I hope they're not that ignorant. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Are children at risk if the schools reopen in the fall?
No, absolutely not.
92% say no.
Good.
So I just want to get back, Howie, quickly to this story about the New York Times writer Bari Weiss. She resigned today from the New York Times. It went viral because she wrote this big resignation letter. She wrote a letter to the New York Times, and she basically said that these editors were, if you weren't fitting the narrative, they were not only not publishing your stuff, but they were bullying her. They were bullying her.
One of the texters has a good point. Today's Irony Award, let's get rid of you so we can be more inclusive. That's what they were telling her, according to her letter, and I have no doubt that she's telling the truth. You can see it in the paper, even if you don't buy it. If you just walk by it like I did this morning, it's a propaganda sheet, totally.
It really is. And the thing it makes me think of is that if I came in here, for example, to the studio, and I was a firm supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement, Howie would not say, Grace, you're fired, or we're not running with that, or you can't say that on air. He would say, let's get you on here, we'll debate it, and you'll look like a fool, because I'm going to break it down, and I'm going to make a fool of you. And it would be entertaining radio, because it's different opinions. But to say, oh no, you have a different opinion than me, so I don't want you to write for us anymore, no wonder they have no subscribers. No wonder these shows have no ratings, because they don't want anyone who has a different view than them.
Well, they've actually done okay with they were a failing newspaper when Donald Trump was running for president. They picked up a lot of subscribers. They're doing okay. The Washington Post is doing okay, but all these other regional papers, like for instance the Boston Globe or the Baltimore Sun or the Miami Herald, all these papers that try to be like regional, politically correct organs.
Like New York Times Juniors.
Yeah, they're failing. They're failing. I mean, look, McClatchy was just sold. It was bankrupt. I mean, they spent billions of dollars to buy the Knight Ridder chain 15 years ago, and now they were just sold for a pittance of what they were worth. The Boston Globe was bought by the New York Times for $1.1 billion. The Worcester Telegram for $300 million. Both those papers together, $1.4 billion worth of papers were sold for $70 million. And it was just the real estate. Those papers aren't worth anything. And it's not just because of the internet. It's because they don't provide any local news. They just provide Twitter material. Clickbait, I guess is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
That's all.
But it's also, if you have a paper and let's say the New York Times did run something pro-Trump, it might drive their base a little crazy. But they would definitely pick up that paper and read it. Well, no, and then they'd write in and get mad and they'd say, cancel this.
We've seen a couple of times in the last few months that they've written headlines about things that Trump said and just report and written headlines that would be traditional journalism, just reporting what he said. And there was an immediate blowback on Twitter and so other social media saying, how dare you give him the credit for believing what he says? And then they change the headline.
They change the headline. They evolve their headlines and their stories to fit what the mob wants. Good luck to them, because I'm going to start reading Bari Weiss's stuff, but I'm definitely not going to keep reading or start reading the New York Times.
We'll be right back, and we'll take your phone calls, 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
Matthews Brothers with 1T, America's oldest window manufacturer. For over 8 years, we here at Matthews Brothers have ended every stupid commercial with that simple but repetitive spelling reminder. Even so, people come up to us every day and say, "Hey there, Mr. Man, were those Matthews Brothers fictional or were they real, like the Marx Brothers, the Wright Brothers, or the Blues Brothers?" We usually respond with, "Listen here, sister. 25 years before Tom Edison invented electricity, Spencer, Noah, and Sanford Matthews started making their first wicked awesome windows in Belfast, Maine. Being the clever fellas they were, they decided to call the company Matthews Brothers. Over the next 166 years, the company passed from the Matthews to the Frost to the Lang and finally to the Hawthorne family, who today are in their third generation of leadership and management. This continuity has allowed us to maintain the Matthews Brothers traditions of superior quality, outstanding performance, and surprising affordability. You can learn more about our wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumberyards and Window Professionals or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. That's Matthews Brothers with 1T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Would you say you're more like your mom or your dad?
No, I don't think I ended up being like either of them, now that I think about it. My mother worked hard, but she never really learned how to make a lot of money, and my father didn't work so hard, but he had a good personality. He was good with people. He was better than me with people. That's why I'm saying I'm not like either one of them, I don't think.
Did you have any siblings?
Yes, I have a brother, a younger brother.
What was your favorite subject in school?
Well, all kinds of history. I loved all kinds of history.
If you could have 3 houses, besides the ones you already have, anywhere in the world, where would they be?
I wouldn't mind having another house in Palm Beach on Clark Avenue. Maybe a place in southern Maine. I don't need a third place.
Didn't you already have a house in Maine?
I did. It was on an island. It was not a good fit for the mailroom manager.
I've heard the house was haunted. Is that true?
Yes. And my wife didn't really care that much for my relatives. Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
There are plenty of differences between Trump and the Democrats running for 2020, but the main one is Trump's pretty funny. Take a listen.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president. I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay? It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst. Other countries, big countries, India and others, we had to pay because they considered them a growing country. They were a growing country. So what are we? Are we allowed to grow too? Okay. No, are we allowed to grow? I try like hell to hide that bald spot, folks. I work harder. Doesn't look bad. Hey, we're hanging in. I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year. Because I've destroyed her political career, and now I won't get a chance to run against her, and I would have loved it. I don't want to knock out all of the good stuff and end up with somebody that's actually got talent. That would be terrible.
Normally, we give Fredo Cuomo a lot of attention, but lately it's Governor Andrew Cuomo who's been grabbing headlines. Let's take a listen to some of his best moments.
You're an essential worker, so go take a job as an essential worker.
But the people aren't hiring because of...
No, there are people hiring. You can get a job as an essential worker. So now you can go to work and you can be an essential worker and you're not going to kill anyone. The number is down because we brought the number down. God did not do that. Fate did not do that. Destiny did not do that. We're not going to make America great again. It was never that great. Because I can all see you're in masterful shape, buff even. It has a very nice floral bouquet. A little I detected lilac, hydrangea, tulips. What does it smell like to you? Tulips, yes. Floral bouquet.
Because if that's who they are, and if they are the extreme conservatives, they have no place in the state of New York.
live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. You know, there was a famous story in the New York Times back in the 1960s, one of the most famous stories of the decade, about this woman, Katie Genovese. She was a barmaid or something, I think in Queens. And she was coming home late one night, and she was jumped by a guy, and he stabbed her to death, killed her slowly, and she was screaming and yelling for help. And none of her neighbors, I mean, like, supposedly 30 of her neighbors heard her, and nobody did anything. Nobody even called the cops. And there were later indications that maybe it wasn't quite the way it was written. But the fact is, it sort of encapsulated how bad the crime was getting in New York. You know how they got that story? A.J. Sulzberger, he was the editor, and he was a former street reporter and become a foreign correspondent. He was having a lunch with like a deputy superintendent of the New York City Police Department. And the guy just said, geez, something terrible happened out in Queens. And A.J. Sulzberger heard about it and he passed it on. Would the New York Times ever get a story like that anymore? No. When would a New York Times editor ever be dining out with a member of the brass of the NYPD? You know, I mean, Sulzberger grew up in neighborhoods with guys that went on to the NYPD. I'll bet he knew gangsters too. But you know, they live in this bubble now, and they don't care about anything like that. You know, like this publisher now, they broke him in the way they broke in all the previous publishers. They used to they sent the previous publisher. He worked in North Carolina when I was there back in the 70s, and he was a reporter for the Raleigh News and Observer. The guy that's now the publisher, they broke him in Kansas City at the New York Times bureau. And do you know what they said his most famous story that he worked on? The travails of being a vegetarian in pro-beef, pro-red meat Kansas City. Oh, that is just so precious, so precious. And that's the thing Barry Weiss is saying. They don't know anybody outside the bubble.
How do you seriously promote that to somebody that you're trying to get a job from? This is my best work.
Yeah, I know. You're sorry, son. We need some reporters on this here sheet. We don't need any. We don't need any more feature writers. Go somewhere. Go to the local city magazine if you want.
Have you read my profile on being a man bun in a crew cut world?
Yeah, Kitty Genovese. What did I say? It was Kitty Genovese that was killed. It was a horrible story. And again, I always remember how they got the story from talking to people who weren't the normal New York Times subscribers or readers. This guy that told them the story probably read the New York Daily News. You know? 844-500-4242. Joan, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Joan.
Hi, is this Howie?
Yes.
Very nice to talk to you. I just wanted to tell you, I just put your show on for the very first time, and I really like you and Grace.
Oh, thank you.
Great show. I used to be a Fox News junkie, but a lot of the people that they're putting on there now I really don't like. I'm a big Trump fan. I think he's the greatest president this country has ever had. And it really makes me sick to my stomach to listen to what the fake news says about him every day. I just think it's horrible. And I'm sick to death of all this Black Lives Matter. And you've covered a lot of topics already. And I think you're going to be, are you on this
yes.
particular time of day every day, Monday through Friday?
Every day, Monday through Friday on Newsmax. The president tweeted out a week or so ago that he's watching Fox less and watching Newsmax and OANN more because just the reasons you just pointed out. And Joan, keep listening. Yeah, he came on the show. The president was on with us last Thursday afternoon, right before what was going to be the rally in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So he's on the show sometimes. He's on with Sean Spicer later on in the day with Newsmax, and he likes the show, and we're glad you like the show, and we're glad you like the network, Joan. And keep listening, please.
844-500-4240. Let's play a couple of the Biden cuts. Biden announced part 2 of his economic plan. I wonder if they could have quizzed him on how much of part 1 he remembers. I rather doubt there's very much. But today, let's play cut 23.
To get our people to work and our kids to school safely, to get our kids to market swiftly, to power a clean energy revolution in this country, we need to modernize America's infrastructure.
Who doesn't remember when their kids were small, worrying about getting them to market swiftly? Cut 33.
And meet this moment in history. We're going to get to work delivering results right away on day 1. We're going to get to work delivering results right away on day 1.
Numbers. He has a problem with numbers. Cut 34.
We're going to reverse Trump's rollbacks of 100 public health and environmental rules, and then forge a path to greater ambition. We're going to get back into the Paris Agreement, back into the business of leading the world.
Numbers. Can we have some more numbers, Mr. Vice President? Cut 26.
10,000s, actually tens of thousands of bridges are in disrepair, some on the verge of collapse.
Hundreds, tens of hundreds, tens of thousands of hundreds. They're in disrepair. Cut 27.
Seems like every few weeks, when he needs a distraction from the latest.
The layish. All right. You think President Trump will be talking about this today at his press conference? I think he will be. I think he'll also be talking about that New York Times editor resigning and saying that basically the New York Times has become a joke, which it has. 844-500-4242. Mark, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Mark.
Howie and Grace. By the way, Howie, your previous caller is correct that Fox is losing a lot of viewers over to Newsmax and One America. My point is this. Since Democrats Cuomo and de Blasio defunded the police and let dangerous criminals out of jail, eliminated bail, crime and murders are out of control in New York City. Howie, yesterday a 1-year-old boy,
I know,
Gardner Jr., was shot in his stroller and murdered by thugs. And the people and businesses are leaving the city in droves. And by the way, Howie, when 911 calls go through, they take 3 times longer to go in cities, Democrat cities that are defunding or reducing money to the police.
Yeah, you're breaking up, Mark. I've read, and you have too, about all the hundreds of thousands of people that have left New York, especially members of the upper middle class and the upper class, the people, in other words, the people who have the money to get out. And I guess Robert De Niro, the actor, the tough guy, gangster actor who hates Donald Trump and says Donald Trump is ruining the country, he was in divorce court and he's in proceedings, and he announced that from now on they're doing the Zoom court proceedings, and he or his lawyer announced yesterday that he's going to be doing them all from upstate New York. He's out of Tribeca. He's left. I thought he was a tough guy. I thought he wanted to be with the people, but he's gone. He claims he's COVID vulnerable because he's 76 years old. But hey, I thought he was, I thought he was Mr. Macho. He can't ride this thing out, but he doesn't want to ride it out. This is a horrible story about this kid in Bedford-Stuyvesant in Brooklyn. They were having a cookout at late at night on Sunday night, I guess, and an SUV pulled up. 3 guys get out with guns and just start shooting into the crowd that's there. And this little kid, DeVell Gardner Jr., was in a stroller or a little chair, and they shot him in the stomach. They thought he was going to make it, but he died at the hospital. And his grandmother and his father were interviewed last night by Lawrence Jones on Fox. And it's just, it was just horrible to hear it. Just a very compelling interview. And this is the grandmother, Samantha Gardner, talking about her grandson, Deval Gardner, and what Black Lives Matters really means. Cut 13.
For the cowards that did this, you should be ashamed of yourself, because everybody talk about Black Lives Matter. What about baby lives? What about teenager lives? Like, you took an innocent child from a mother and a father, as well as the grandparents. And I don't think it's fair.
And the interviewer asked the father, Deval Gardner Sr., if anybody from the city or state of New York had called to express condolences. And it's just like what happened in Seattle with that black kid that was killed in CHOP. Did the mayor call? Did the lefty Democrat governor call? Did any of these socialist city councilors call? No. Same thing in New York. Trump hasn't called. Trump called the guy in the father in Seattle, but none of the local Democrat polls called. Yeah, I don't think Trump has called. He may have called by now, but he didn't call last night. But de Blasio, Cuomo, all the people that want to succeed de Blasio next year, Schumer, none of them called. They couldn't be bothered calling. Cut 11.
Do you feel like the elected leaders, the people that represent the community, are doing enough to stop this?
No. The community is just getting worse and worse. Nobody's doing nothing about it. Nobody's trying to make a change. And it's sad to say that, like, every day is just worse. You don't know if you're going to live to see the next day.
They were being interviewed in this park. It was, dusk, because it's the summer, one of the longest days of the year. And there's a little breeze in the background. People are riding by on bikes. It looks like it's a nice place, But there's just this random shooting, these random murders going on. Shooting is up 130% in New York City year to year. And de Blasio has no solution. The solution is to cut $1 billion out of the NYPD budget. $1 billion out of a $6 billion budget. How is that going to help keep people alive? Cut number 10.
DeVille, do you believe, based on what you know now, and no one's talking, that people thought that your son's life mattered by the way they're conducting themselves right now?
No. Anybody who said that they're just lying, because if you know information, that needs to be said, and no information needs to be said. Like, this is my son. He died. You need to, whatever information you need to tell me. It needs to be known. I need this information. Because these guys just took my son's life. For what? He didn't do nothing to nobody.
Two months away from his second birthday, and he's dead. And the mayor and the governor and all the rest of how about AOC? It's not her district, I don't think, but it's nearby. It's probably an adjoining district to the one she represents. What does she have to say about this? Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Usually we just brush it off or blame ourselves, saying things like, I lost my mojo. Or we avoid it altogether with excuses like, I had a long day at work, or, sorry, honey, I'm just not feeling it. But with Roman, it is easy to talk about it. With a real doctor who can prescribe real medication. It's simple, safe, and totally discreet. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for erectile dysfunction, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. The doctor will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship it to you with free 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, simple, and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to getroman.com/Howie and complete an online visit. Erectile dysfunction used to be tough to tackle, but now there's Roman. Complete an online visit today to connect with a doctor and take care of it. Go to getroman.com/Howie today. If approved, you'll get $15 off your first order of erectile dysfunction treatment.
That's GetRoman.com/Howie. GetRoman.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Radio Network.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Moby Dick's on Route 6 in Wellfleet. Don't let the lines deter you. It's worth the wait. From seafood gumbo to lobster rolls, Moby Dick's has it all.
Howie says it all the time. When it comes to bad politicians, Massachusetts takes the cake.
It is my honor to introduce to you your senator, my senator, Senator Elizabeth Warren.
I know who I am because of what my mother and my father told me.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Governor Deval Patrick.
And frankly, I got to tell you, with all the other things I'm worrying about, this is not one of them. We're going to be fine. I'm in charge.
Please join me in welcoming our own Senator Ed Markey.
The planet is running a fever. There are no emergency rooms for planets.
The very first African-American congresswoman to be elected from Massachusetts, Ayanna Pressley.
We don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice.
Let's give him a great Waterloo reception. John Kerry.
The Yankees posted the Boston Red Sox logo and they sang Sweet Adeline.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
Remember the boy who cried wolf? I call this one the press that cried Hitler.
The president is not only racist, he's a bigot, but he is completely un-American. He is behaving like a fascist.
This is the president once again just thumping his chest and acting like he is the dictator that I think he wants to be.
President of the United States is a wannabe dictator with authoritarian tendencies.
This is exactly what authoritarians do. This is what strongmen do. This is what happens in authoritarian regimes.
We have a president with a strong authoritarian personality.
Like a dictator from another nation.
People that grew up in authoritarian regimes, seeing echoes of that in President Trump. He likes these figures like Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un. This is more the actions of a dictator.
He totally wants to be a dictator. It's so obvious.
Much like Hitler took over the Nazi Party, Trump has taken over the Republican Party.
He went full Hitler.
Trump is as destructive a person in this century as Hitler, Stalin, and Mao were in the last century.
It's simply a Stalinist phrase, for God's sake.
He sounded not like a president of the United States. He actually sounded like Saddam Hussein.
This is Jeff in Woodstock, Connecticut.
This is Laura Benner in South Burlington, Vermont.
This is Jimmy Mack in Falmouth, Massachusetts, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. The NYPD just released a surveillance video of the two gunmen opening fire on the barbecue. The 10-second clip, tweeted Tuesday by NYPD Chief of Detectives Rodney Harrison, shows two men firing off multiple rounds as they run across Madison Street outside of Raymond Bush Playground in Bed-Stuy late Sunday, seemingly pursuing a group running ahead of them. I couldn't tell anything from it, but you can definitely see the two guys that are firing the guns. 844-500-4242. Nick, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Nick.
How you doing, Howie?
Good.
You talked earlier about the trying to find death statistics. You're right. Go to CDC. It's awful hard to find out the number of deaths per day. Okay, so anyway.
Right, but they're changing them. Nick, the thing is they're changing them every day, at least some of these states. You know, Massachusetts has changed them. I know that because I follow those every day. Pennsylvania has changed them. Delaware, Ohio. Now it turns out Florida is saying that people tested positive when they actually didn't. I mean, I don't know how much to trust any of these numbers.
Right. Okay. All I'm saying is I did a benchmark starting June 1st through July 13th yesterday, 43 days, okay?
Yeah.
What I found was the mortality rate percentage has dropped almost 32% in 43 days.
Right.
That's what's happening steadily.
Yeah, more young people are taking the test, and they're testing positive, but they're asymptomatic, as they say. You know, they're not getting sick, or if they're getting sick at all, they're getting mild cases like a cold or a flu. And the doctors have even said that the strains of the virus that are now showing up seem to be less lethal than they were in the late winter when this whole first thing started. Thank you, Nick. Rob, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, Howie, how you doing?
Good.
I was listening to you talk earlier about Bari Weiss, and a couple things I wanted to point out was, one, she did a really good interview with Joe Rogan, where she talked about the totalitarian attitude of journalistic organizations like the New York Times. And also, she's been called a Nazi on multiple occasions.
Right.
But in fact, she's actually a Jewish woman.
Right, and she said in the letter to the publisher, she said sometimes that people ask her, "Are you just writing about Jewish things again?" I mean, can you imagine if that woman who wrote the 1619 Project, if they asked her, "Are you just writing about black things again?" You know, that would be the end of their career, wouldn't it, Rob?
Oh, absolutely. There's a complete double standard with people on the left and what you can and what you cannot talk about. And you know, talking about Jewish issues is obviously a no-go, but if you were to talk about Black Lives Matter, that's exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah. Nowadays, she wrote, standing up for principle at this paper does not win plaudits. It puts a target on your back. Too wise to post on Slack, they write to me privately about their coworkers about the new McCarthyism that has taken root at the paper of record. You know, during the McCarthy era, when they were quote unquote blacklisting people like screenwriters, the screenwriters could still get work. They just had to change their name, right? I think this new McCarthyism, they want to cancel you totally. They don't want you to be working anywhere except maybe as a sharecropper on a farm somewhere. I'm Howie Carr. Thinking about camping this year? Are you thinking about your first RV or ready for your 10th RV? This is Howie Carr, and Cold Springs RV is ready for you. After one visit, you will understand why they are called the destination for all things camping. If a new or pre-owned camper has been on your wish list, now is the time to check it off. At Cold Springs RV, you can score a deal on a pop-up, travel trailer, fifth wheel, or motorhome. If it's service you need, the brand new state-of-the-art service facility is ready for you. They service all makes and brands. If your RV needs body work, they have you covered. They can help you with collision repair, roof replacement, or even a new paint job. From minor repairs to major insurance jobs, Cold Springs RV can do it all. As a full-service RV dealer, you know they can fix just about anything. If you are a service tech and want to work for the best, ask about employment today. Cold Springs RV, Route 114 in Ware, New Hampshire. ColdSpringsRV.com, your destination for all things camping.
Here's 1 minute with Governor
Charlie Parker in Massachusetts.
I'd certainly put myself on that list. I'm a basketball player. I always was.
There's a lot at stake here.
This is not a virus to be trifled with or disrespected.
Respect the virus.
I have a hard time understanding when we're going to be able to play basketball again.
We can start talking about a gradual, careful, data-driven, phased reopening. Don't let a few nice days step on that.
I need to talk to the Attorney General and find out what the actual parameters of the ruling are. Did this just happen? And the reason I read that story is because I'm a basketball player and I agree. I was first made aware of the discrepancy on this on the day that the registrar resigned.
The vast majority, and I mean like the vast majority of the people who are part of these protests are there to make a point and to make it peacefully. That is so obvious, I'm amazed that anybody could say anything other than that. I would love to be able to open everything up tomorrow. That would be an incredibly irresponsible thing to do.
President Trump's life has changed a lot in the last couple of years, but one thing that remains consistent, his love for a good nickname.
What happened to Mini Mike? Where's he? Mini Mike, I've had him up to here. Sleepy Joe has no idea what he's even talking. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. Sleepy Joe, get off the stage, please. I don't think the guy's got a chance. Sleepy Joe, I don't think he's got it. I don't know. I think Sleepy Joe may be able to limp across the finish line. Crying Chuck. I don't want to say Crazy Nancy because if I say that, you're going to say it's a copy of Crazy Bernie, and that's no good. Who that judge? Alfred E. Newman. You know, I thought Pocahontas was gone, left in embers. I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year. Did you ever hear Pocahontas? It's Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren. Little pencil neck Adam Schiff. Got the smallest, thinnest neck I've ever seen. But Nancy Pelosi, I call her Nervous Nancy. Crooked Hillary. Crooked Hillary Clinton. Bill Clinton said to Crooked Hillary. Crooked Hillary, do you think he calls her Crooked Hillary, Mike?
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
Normally, we give Fredo Cuomo a lot of attention, but lately it's Governor Andrew Cuomo who's been grabbing headlines. Let's take a listen to some of his best moments.
You're an essential worker, so go take a job as an essential worker.
But the people aren't hiring because of the
No, there are people hiring. You can get a job as an essential worker. So now you can go to work and you can be an essential worker and you're not going to kill anyone. The number is down because we brought the number down. God did not do that. Fate did not do that. Destiny did not do that. We're not going to make America great again. It was never that great. Because I can all see you're in masterful shape, buff even. It has a very nice floral bouquet. A little I detected lilac, hydrangea, tulips. What does it smell like to you? Tulips, yes. Floral bouquet.
Because if that's who they are, and if they are the extreme conservatives, they have no place in the state of New York.
The Democrat Party is so full of loonies, social justice warriors, progressives, whatever you want to call them, that sometimes certain moonbats get overlooked. So let's take this moment to shine the woke spotlight on Crazy Mazie Hirono.
I am not going to be a fool to Mitch McConnell's shenanigans. Why should any of us? And it's not just a dog whistle, it's a bullhorn. Bullhorns. It's racism. It's basically, for many people, it's anti-Semitic. It's white supremacy.
Why not take a stand and vote yes for it? Seems like you're trying to have it both ways, not be hung by it politically, but also not say that you don't support it.
I disagree with you, Katie, that why should we engage in the kind of sham shenanigans that Mitch McConnell is really good at? I'm confused. This was just a sham. Guess who's perpetuating all of these kinds of actions? It's the men in this country, and I just want to say to the men in this country, just shut up and step up. I think the noose is closing, and, you know, Giuliani is like a loose cannon, and so is the president, frankly.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Here's 1 minute of CNN's Don Lemon.
What do you say to those Trump voters who prioritize the economy over the president's bigotry?
I have a big announcement, and it's somewhere on my body.
Because the biggest purveyor of fake news is the president in this country, because he does it a lot. I'm just going to speak from the heart here. What we have witnessed was a total eclipse of the fact.
If you thought I went hard in 2019, watch 2020, baby. There's more to come. I'm a soldier. I'm ready to fight.
Talking about the cost of this parade and where there would be tanks, right? And would there be nuclear weapons? Americans, are you mad as hell? I wouldn't normally address this. As a journalist, I don't really like being the story here. Kanye West, entitled to his own opinion, but is not very bright and not very, when it comes, I'm talking about this issue, not overall. So we have to stop demonizing people and realize the biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
We all shop online, and now you can do it a better way with Honey. Honey is the free online shopping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. Just download Honey to your computer and shop on all your favorite websites like normal. When you check out, just click the Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Macy's, Etsy, and more. And Honey has found over $2 billion in savings for its users. That's why it has over 100,000 five-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. It's 100% free to use and installs in seconds. Plus, it's backed by PayPal, so you know it's secure and reliable. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. So get Honey for free today at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie.
The coronavirus has made our lives unpredictable, but one thing you can always count on, the White House press corps will always ask President Trump ridiculous questions.
Question, Mr. President, should Americans have to decide between staying healthy and going back to work?
Hey, just checking on oil again today. I was wondering if...
Oil?
Yeah.
Where is it today?
Well, I was wondering if you...
No, where's the price? Give me the price.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
How can you ask a question when you don't know the price?
I'll look it up for you.
Okay, let me do somebody else.
What do you say to the Americans who are scared, though? I guess nearly 200 dead, 14,000 who are sick, millions, as you witnessed, who are scared right now. What do you say to Americans?
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
As the Secretary of Education, should schools in the United States follow the CDC recommendations?
These are recommendations, and every situation is going to look slightly different because every school building is different. Every school population is different. These are smart people. They can figure out what is going to be right for their specific situation.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
I think what we heard from the Secretary was malfeasance and dereliction of duty. Going back to school presents the biggest risk for the spread of the coronavirus.
That's just completely wrong and contrary to all the science. The risk to children from this disease for fatality is nearly zero. In the United States, half the teachers are 40 or less and a quarter of them are under 30. They have almost zero risk from this.
Oh, back to school. Back to school.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
When the city of Gotham had a real difficult challenge, one of the things that the mayor there did, he sent out the distress signal to Batman. And I'm happy to report, I'm calling out the census cowboy. If you see the census cowboy, that means you got to make sure that you fill out the census.
I am going to stop pollution with my new lovable character, Gary the No Trash Cougar. Pick up your trash!
Unchained and unstoppable.
We are now requiring all counties to close their indoor operations in the following sectors: restaurants, wineries, tasting rooms, movie theaters, family entertainment centers, zoos and museums, card rooms, and the shuttering of all bars.
No smoking, no drinking, no drugs, no guns, no foul language, no red meat. Land of the free.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Sectors. I remember when I was a kid, there was the in Berlin there was the Russian sector and the British sector and the Americans. Now they're the governor of California is falling into the terminology of the Cold War. The sectors, the bar sector, will be shut down until further notice. The winery sector. Does that include his own winery? Last week, the county his own winery was in was mysteriously exempted.
He did make it a point to say all counties, and he made that very clear.
So his winery will be shut down. Okay. Well, that's good to know, I guess. 844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. Would like to thank the Kowloon for bringing in a great spread. You have a good. Everybody enjoy the Kowloon meal. Kowloon is a Boston's premier Asian dining experience. If you're in the mood for good Chinese food, go to the Kowloon. It's in Saugus on Route 1 North. And they brought it in. We haven't had Kowloon for a while, but we're hoping things are returning to normal a little bit. And I like to. We have the VIPs liked it, and they liked the Super Beat soft chews. Good, right? Liked it. And one of our VIPs brought me some. Curran brought me some Pug towels, some dish towels here. That's kind of a beach dish towel, and here's one with Gooner on it. Where is it here? Gooner is on it. Thank you very much, Curran, for bringing them in. She brought them for Taylor and for Grace as well.
They're beautiful. I'm always looking around for a dish
towel.
Hold
on. Let me just hold it up one more time here so Curran can get a picture of it with the beach towel. There it is. Thank you very much. It was great. 844-500-4242. You can always use another dish towel, I always say. All right, time now for the chump line. You can always use another chump line, too. The president is going to have a news conference at any moment in the White House, but we think we're going to be able to get through the chump line. He always runs a little bit late.
NYT, the New York Twitter.
All right, thanks. Go ahead.
Howie, your German Gestapo impersonation sounds more like Charlie Chan.
You know what? I always like Charlie Chan more than the German Gestapo. He's a good American, Charlie Chan. The Chump Line is brought to you every weekday at this time by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer. And believe it or not, Matthews Brothers was actually started by three actual brothers, Spencer Walcott Matthews, Noah Merrill Matthews, and Sanford Hills Matthews. They were real people who made real contributions to their community. We're proud to brand our windows with their names.
All right. A former Mueller prosecutor is writing a book on the Russia investigation. Don't tell me how it ends, Howie. I want to be kept in suspense.
Yeah. Can I pre-order that on the Amazon? Boy, I hope I can get some galleys so I can review it in my column in the newspaper before it comes out.
That's a nice picture of Andrea Tabor on your Twitter line, but who's that guy wearing the pink pants?
You know, it kind of did take away from the moment with Andrea Tabor and her problems with the cancel culture that I was wearing pink short pants that day.
Hate Mail Monday, even though it's on a Tuesday, is going to be spectacular because of those pink pants. Once again, Howie, you've saved the day.
What can I say? I decided not to wear the pink pants again rather than wearing the khaki short pants that I usually wear. What happens is VIPs, when you guys come in, the VIPs, I put on long pants. But this time of year, I like to wear short pants when I can. But no more pink pants, I guess. That was a mistake.
Wait, cancel culture got to you? No more pink shorts?
Only on the weekends when nobody can see me or when I can control the tweets that go out.
The only thing missing with that pink pants outfit is a nice ascot.
Ascots are seldom worn with short pants, even between Memorial and Labor Days, in my haberdasher's opinion.
Lovey, as much as I support the consolation of Goya, I'm rather worried they could come after Hines next. Social justice is important, but it's not as important as my trust fund and yacht lifestyle. So let's not get silly here.
You know what I had for dinner last night? I had some Butcher Box ground beef and made it into chili with black beans from Goya and red kidney beans from Goya. I didn't realize Goya had as many products as it did, though. They have over 1,000, I guess. Somebody said 2,500. That certainly can't be right, but they have a lot.
He's bad. He's number one. He's a census cowboy with a laser gun. Said yippee-yi, yo. Said howdy, hey, hey. Said howdy, hey, hey.
Maybe that was the mayor of Chicago who was talking about the census cowboy. Maybe as part of his probation or his work release, Jussie Smollett could be the census cowboy.
Howie, I think Charlie Parker's a mole. You don't believe me? Just look at his face.
I won't even comment. Just look at his face and you'll see what he's talking about. I noticed it this morning too, though, sir.
Hey, Howie, life's a snitch, and then you elect one.
Yeah, what would have happened if he hit the first time or the time he got elected, the second time he was running for? If I'm elected, I'm going to set up a snitch line and catch everybody who's not wearing a mask. Yikes.
Do you ever notice that Joe Biden always says, on my first day of office? Do you think that's because he knows there isn't going to be a second day in office?
William Henry Harrison was the shortest serving president. He lasted 30 days. He apparently delivered his inauguration speech in the bitter cold, and he was in his 70s, and he caught pneumonia and died. Do you think Joe Biden would last as long as William Henry Harrison? I don't mean necessarily death. I just mean being removed under, say, the 25th Amendment. How many people... I'd like to hire you for my Secretary of State, but first I have to know, how are you going to vote on the 25th Amendment? Are you going to vote to remove me on January 22nd?
Lives matter. If you need a color in front of that, you're a racist. Also, if your name is Joe Biden, you're a racist.
Yes, he's got a rather checkered past, shall we say. Bruce from the Met says, I almost commented on the pink, but I thought it might have been the lighting. Stay bold, Howie. You can wear pink. Us real men can pull it off. Isn't that the truth, Bruce? They're just jealous of us who wear pink.
That was your last chump line message. Thank you for calling Howie Carr, you chump.
All right, that's it for the Chump Line today. The Chump Line is the recorded voicemail message service of the Howie Carr Show. You can call and leave a message at any hour of the day or night, including weekends. The Chump Line number, if you'd like to leave such a message, 844-500-4242. Press 2 for the Chump Line. Leave your message. We may or may not play it at this time each weekday. If you love the Chump Line and you can't get enough of it, we post chopped chumps, the messages that didn't make it, at 7 o'clock Eastern every night during the week. Wherever you get your Howie Carr podcast, you can get chopped chumps. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer. Believe it or not, Matthews Brothers was actually started by 3 actual brothers: Spencer Walcott Matthews, Noah Merrill Matthews, and Sanford Hills Matthews. They were real people who made real contributions to their community. We're proud to brand our windows with their names.
Howie, your German Gestapo impersonation sounds more like Charlie Chan.
I was my father's number one son. I did not come here to be made sport of. I'm Howie Carr.
The paper boy with a big microphone. Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by J.T. Kelly Real Estate Broker. He helped Carolyn Carr buy a house during COVID, and he can help you too. Contact him at 1-800-364-9200. That's 1-800-364-9200. Nothing says summer like fresh lobster and a beer, and Quahog Republic has them both. Featuring their lobster roll with 10 ounces of lobster meat, there's no mystery as to why they were voted best lobster roll in Massachusetts by Yankee Magazine. You can wash it down with Quahog's own golden ale. If you go for more of a mixed drink, then you cannot pass up their Bloody Mary with sun-dried tomatoes, peppers, and garlic. And they top it off with a nice piece of bacon. Visit them today at any of their 3 locations in New Bedford, Onset, or Falmouth. Quahog Republic. Live, give, and relax. It has been a long lockdown this spring, but the weather is warming up, and now is a perfect time to take off for some fun on beautiful Nantucket. Southern Airways' new Island Hopper flights from Boston, Norwood, Providence, and now Hyannis can get you to Nantucket in less than the time it takes to go through TSA at Logan. Forget traffic, long ferry rides, and Logan's hassles and high fares. I've flown Southern, and you will love their service. Book today at iflysouthern.com. That's iflysouthern.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
How did you come up with the name VB?
My first producer and I both had steady girlfriends, or we were married or whatever. And VB was always saying that we were whipped, if you know what I mean. Finally, I said, you don't even have a girlfriend. I've never seen you with a female. As a matter of fact, I don't think you have ever had sex. You are just a virgin boy.
What is your biggest fear?
That Donald Trump will not be reelected in 2020, and that some horrible Democrat will come in and finish off the destruction of this once great country.
Out of all of your daughters, who is the least like you and why?
Probably Charlotte, even though we went to the same high school, Deerfield Academy. Sense of her responsibilities than I do. Let me put it that way. She has a different regard for money. She's not a cheap bastard, in other words. Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300. And now, a minute of wisdom from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Millennials and people and Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And this is the war. This is our World War II.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
But being factually correct is important.
It's absolutely important.
And if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all three chambers of Congress, all three chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020, we can't start working in 2020.
This is Chris in Rochester, Mass.
This is Mark in Nashville, New Hampshire.
This is Lorna in Truckstown, Pennsylvania. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. Skip the hassle at the grocery store and sign up to get delicious, high-quality meat delivered fresh right to your door at butcherbox.com/Howie. That's butcherbox.com/Howie. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Are children at risk if the schools reopen in the fall?
Not unless the brakes give out on their buses. Or lightning strikes them as they walk through the door.
Don't wish that upon anybody.
I'm just telling you, anything can always happen.
You got to knock on wood or something.
Okay, knock on wood. Knock on wood. Knock on my pug
This definitely is not
towel.
wood. Only 8% say yes, the children are at risk.
Okay, guys, we have Hate Mail Monday, and this is really Hate Mail Monday on a Tuesday mixed with The Fashion Police, which was
hate flow through you.
always my favorite show as a child when Joan Rivers, rest in peace, was hosting. So now I feel like a little Joan myself. Most of this hate is directed towards Howie. We gather it on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, on our text machine, sometimes in person if you run into someone.
Of the Herald.
Everywhere. So let's start with a picture from yesterday. Howie tweeted out a photo with Andrea Tabor from Ever So Humble Pie, and he was wearing pink pants.
And if you want to order any of our products, you can't get down to East Walpole to the Ever So Humble. You can go to lobsteranywhere.com and order lobsteranywhere.com, which I'm just looking at the website right now. It's cool. It's a cool website.
All her stuff is delicious. The scones are incredible. Her pies, everything is just mwah.
Needless to say, Howie was wearing not so humble pants.
Right. And they were just cut off in the picture. I did not do you justice.
Were they pants or shorts?
They were shorts, but people thought they were pants. So people thought there was even more of the pink.
So once again, you cropped out his legs to save him from even more hate.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought I was doing him a favor. Turns out I was not. So here are some of the comments. Howie, what kind of outfit do you have on? Ha, 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 ha.
What's so funny? Laughing boy.
The next one says, the mailroom manager let you out of the house wearing those pants?
What was I going to do? Wear the khaki pants for a third day in a row? Then people would have commented behind my back and said, what the hell? Why doesn't he ever wash those pants?
I have to say, though, for someone who has had such traumatic experiences whilst wearing shorts, you are loyal to the short brand. You love having your calves free.
I do.
I respect it.
Free range calves.
It's breezy. I love that breeze coming up my leg.
Okay, before we get to our next picture.
I don't have a thrill coming up my leg. I just want a breeze.
Before we get to the next photo that you tweeted out, I want to remind everyone that Hate Mail Monday, whether it's on a Monday or a Tuesday, is brought to you by Piantadosi Baking Company, celebrating over 100 years of baking excellence. They have delicious bread, the best in the biz, so make sure you check them out.
But incidentally, I think a lot of people agree with this texter at 207. My kids will be at risk if they don't go back to school. They are driving me nuts.
Oh, yes.
Multiple exclamation points.
For sure. And everyone needs social interaction. You start to lose your minds. Next up, Howie tweeted a photo of himself holding 2 cans of Goya beans. Goya was part of the controversy.
Is Twitter taking over this show like it took over the New York Times, according to Barry Weiss?
Twitter is the ruler of hate mail. That is for sure. Here are some of the comments. And I know I have good hate when Howie gets very frustrated by it. And so here we go. Howie, your radio program, this is not about the Goya beans, but it's in response. Howie, your radio program is not good. Please stop making them.
No. The answer is no. I will not stop making them.
The next person takes direct aim at the beans. LOL, this guy doesn't even know how to cook. He's just holding the cans.
Well, that's what I'm doing in the picture. Yes. I told you I made the chili last night, or the mailroom manager made the chili.
You keep saying I told you I made it, and then you say the mailroom manager. You didn't make it then.
I was out walking Gooner.
Let's face it, Goya doesn't care if you cook with their beans. Just buy them.
Sigh, another racist Trump supporter, one person wrote.
Because I have Goya beans in my cabinet?
So then you also wrote, I stand with Goya. That's what you wrote for the picture. This person says, you stand with Goya because they stand with the racist, and now the world knows you do too.
How is he a racist? I keep coming back to this over and over again. Where is the racism here?
This is my favorite tweet we've received in a really long time. This is about, again, the Goya beans. There is absolutely no way this gluttonous slob... Sorry. There is absolutely no way this gluttonous slob
Do I amuse you?
Ever ate a kidney bean in his life.
That guy doesn't know me very well. That troll.
And this person says, you just went out and bought those beans, having never done that before.
That's what
a bleep bag.
That picture was taken at 7:30 in the morning. I mean, I could have been there at when the store opened, but I wasn't. I just went to the cabinet and pulled them out.
I just want to give a tip to all the haters out there. I like creativity. Gluttonous slob just really does it for me. I don't know why, but it really gave me a good chuckle. Okay, so we do have a few voicemails. One, Howie interviewed Donald Trump, the president, last week, and he asked him about the pardoning of Roger Stone, which amazingly...
Howard, you are so uncool.
Okay, go ahead.
What do you think you're doing asking the president, trying to get the big scoop, huh? Are you going to pardon Stone? How uncool with that. You are such a waste.
You are a waste.
I was pretty sure he was going to pardon him the next day.
And we got the best answer out of him than anybody else did.
Yeah. We got the answer first. We got the most direct. Sean Hannity got it later, but we got it that in the afternoon. All right. I'm Howie Carr. Leah's Boat Rentals in Nickerson State Park on Cape Cod. You never dreamed a beach with white sand and pine trees was available on Cape Cod and so easy to get to. Just follow the path at Cliff Pond Beach or Flax Pond Beach to Leah's Boat Rental, where the boats are on the beach ready to step into. For all your paddleboard and kayak needs, Leah's has boats suitable for beginners and intermediate users alike. Leah's Boat Rentals in Nickerson State Park on Cape Cod. Fair prices, outdoor family fun. Do you have no water, poor water quality, or low pressure? This is Howie Carr. Call the local water service experts, Skillings & Sons. They're ready with 24-hour service with no extra charge for after-hours calls. And a fleet of trucks stocked with parts to make sure you're not without water. With over 50 years of experience, they take pride in having a family of employees that are the best in the business. For all things water, Skillings & Sons is there for you. SkillingsandSons.com.
He's New England's talk radio king. He's Howie Carr.
The only French term I like is sans culotte, without trousers. I used to describe Ted Kennedy as sans culotte because after the Obar incident, when he was wandering around down on the beach with his 20th Scotch tumbler of the day in his hand, stumbling around with he was just there, as the Michel Casson, Patches Date said, he was just there. Without trousers. Or as we say in Paris, sans culotte.
We've seen nothing that we can work, that I can work with President Bush on, and I'm disappointed because I thought that there might be some interest because of what he said in the campaign.
President Bush, this is your brain. This is your brain on Botox, okay? That's the lesson of that one. With all the uncertainty in the world, feeling safe at home has never been more important. It's why I want to talk to you about Simply Safe Home Security. They're longtime friends of the Howie Carr Show, and for good reason. Simply Safe has made it easy to finally get comprehensive protection for your home. There's no technician or salesperson that needs to come and disrupt your house. You don't need to pay any outrageous monthly fees or sign a 2-year contract. You just order online. Set it up yourself in under an hour, and your home is protected 24/7 with emergency dispatch for break-ins, fire, and more. All for just 50 cents a day. And we're not the only fans of Simply Safe. U.S. News and World Report named Simply Safe Best Overall Home Security of 2020. Go to simplysafehowie.com to try it out for yourself. That's simplysafehowie.com to make sure they know that our show sent you. That's simplysafehowie.com.
Joe Biden might be running for president in 2020, so we should play some of his greatest hits.
Barack and I finally reduced the disparity in sentencing, which we've been fighting to eliminate, in crack cocaine versus powder cocaine. Correct. It was a big mistake when it was made. We thought we were told by the experts that crack, you never go back.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
If you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun. If there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony, put that double-barrel shotgun, and fire 2 blasts. They're going to put you all back in chains. Give me a break. That's a bunch of malarkey.
The 3-letter word. Jobs. J-O-B-S. Jobs.
One man stands ready to deliver change we desperately need. A man I'm proud to call my friend. A man who will be the next president of the United States, Barack America.
And now, another minute of Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
But again, don't...
You have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
That's like 5 people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame. Except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation of the women power that is coming forth now, but only one manifestation. It was like getting kicked in the back by a mule constantly. It was physical. It was so unbelievable. The Times found Lincoln. Not to be presumptuous to put ourselves in those categories, but the Times have found us.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. The president's press conference from the Rose Garden has begun. It looks like he's just reading his statement now. He's talking about China and dealing with them and their trade depredations with the United States. In the meantime, before we go to it, I just wanted to mention, I just saw a headline, at least 17 people shot in New York City on Monday as gun violence continues to soar. At least 17 people were shot in New York City yesterday, a tally that would be considered high for a weekend day, but is astronomical for early in the week, law enforcement sources said. No borough was spared from the gunplay, but Brooklyn. That's where the one-year-old boy was shot earlier. Brooklyn saw the most violence with 10 shooting incidents and a total of 22 victims. 22 victims. 844-500-4242. Yeah, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is back in the hospital. It's being reported as well. So I guess the term is over for the Supreme Court, so she's checking back in. And, of course, she's just trying to hang on until Trump leaves office, if he leaves office. All right. H could not find Ever So Humble on lobster anywhere. It would be under the it would be under pastries, I'm sure, or extras. They have blueberry tarts and they have key lime pie. So try again, lobsteranywhere.com. All right, let's take a little bit of the president's press conference.
As tough as you can get on World Health. We withdrew our money. We told them we're getting out. Doesn't mean that someday we won't go back in. Maybe we will when it's correctly run. But they made a lot of bad predictions, and they said a lot of bad things about what to do and how to do it, and they turned out to be wrong. And they were really a puppet of China. And make no mistake, we hold China fully responsible for concealing the virus and unleashing it upon the world. They could have stopped it. They should have stopped it. Would have been very easy to do at the source when it happened. In contrast, Joe Biden's entire career has been a gift to the Chinese Communist Party and to the calamity of errors that they've made. They made so many errors, and it's been devastating for the American worker. China has taken out hundreds of billions of dollars a year from our country, and we rebuilt China. I give them all the credit in the world. I don't give the credit for the people that used to stand here, because they allowed this to happen, where hundreds of billions of dollars were taken out of the United States Treasury in order to rebuild China. There's no company and no country in the world has ever ripped off the United States like the incredible job that they did on this country and the people that ran it. Possibly it's one of the reasons, certainly it's one of the very big reasons, trade and things related to trade, that I got elected in the first place. I've been talking about it for a long time, along with many other subjects, frankly. Joe Biden supported China's entry into the World Trade Organization, one of the greatest geopolitical and economic disasters in world history. If you look at China and you look at the moment they joined the World Trade, they were flatlining for years and years and years and decades. And then all of a sudden they joined the World Trade Organization, and they went like a rocket ship. They were given all sorts of advantages. They were considered a developing country. As a developing country, they got tremendous advantages over the United States and other countries. And they took advantage of those advantages and and then some. Biden personally led the effort to give China permanent most favored nation status, which is a tremendous advantage for a country to have. Few countries have it, but the United States doesn't have it. Never did, probably never even asked for it, because they didn't know what they were doing. As Vice President, Biden was a leading advocate of the Paris Climate Accord, which was unbelievably expensive to our country, would have crushed American manufacturers while allowing China to pollute the atmosphere with impunity. Yet one more gift from Biden to the Chinese Communist Party. They took all of the advantage away from us. They took everything away. They don't have oil. We would have had to close up tremendous amounts of our energy to qualify eventually, not too far into the future. We would have had to do things that would have been unbelievably destructive to our country, including the possible closing of 25% of our businesses. Think of that. And it was going to cost us hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars for the privilege of being involved in the Paris Climate Accord. And you just have to look at what took place this year in Paris and France, where money was being sent to countries all over the world, and the people of France didn't want to take it, and they didn't, and they did a lot of rioting. They had their taxes raised. We would have had to raise our taxes, and it was a disaster. I've been given a lot of credit for what I did there. It took a certain amount of courage, I guess, because it sounds so nice, the Paris Climate Accord, but it wasn't good for us at all. America lost nearly 10,000 factories while Joe Biden was vice president. Think of that, 10,000 factories. He wrote something today, and he made a statement today that I wrote down. It's pretty accurate. So Biden was here for 47 years, 8 years, the last 8 years, not long ago, as vice president. He said, 1 in 5 miles of our highways are still in poor condition. Well, we're doing a good job on highways, but why didn't he fix them 3 years ago? Why didn't he fix them? Tens of thousands of bridges are in disrepair and on the verge of collapse. Well, it's probably not a right number, but we have bridges that should have been fixed. Why didn't he fix them? He was there for 8 years with President Obama. Why didn't they fix them? Tens of thousands of bridges. This is what he wrote. High-speed broadband. We want high-speed broadband. Well, why didn't he get it? 3 years ago is not a long time. And he didn't do any of the things, but now he says he's going to be president. And as president, he's going to do all the things that he didn't do. He never did anything except make very bad decisions, especially on foreign policy. So Joe Biden and President Obama freely allowed China to pillage our factories, plunder our communities, and steal our most precious secrets. And I've stopped it largely, but I've stopped it. And it wasn't easy, because you talk about a certain power of the telephone and the calls, where they would call and say, no, we don't want to do that. And other countries would call on behalf of China, but I did it. I did what has to be done. And you just take a look at what's gone on, and take a look at at the numbers where they devalued their currency in order to pay the tariffs. Now the Democrat Party is calling for defunding of our military. Think of that, defunding. They want to defund our military when China is building a massive military. They're building a massive military, and Biden wants to defund our military. And the world needs American strength right now more than ever, and we've got it. We've got now, soon, as all this equipment comes in, all made in the USA, we've got the newest, most incredible weapons anywhere in the world. We have the best tanks, the best ships, the best missiles, rockets. We have the best of everything. We have the best fighter jets, the F-35, the F-18. All of these assets are being built. Tankers, incredible tankers, bombers. Hope we don't have to use them. But we have the most incredible military. When I came in, the military was totally depleted. It was It was at a level that was just absolutely incredible. You know the statements. I made the statements before I told you what generals told me about our military.
You know what they're going to say after this is over. He wasn't talking about the surging and the spiking and the skyrocketing COVID-19 tolls. He was trying to change the subject and blame Joe Biden for his own terrible stewardship. And all these people are dead. We're not going to mention how many are dead because there aren't many dead. So we'll just talk about how many people are testing positive. And all he wanted to talk about was the Chinese using the trade agreements that Obama negotiated to put American factories out of business. Who cares about that? We only care about people testing positive for COVID-19. That's a preview of what's going to be said tonight. We'll come back to this when he takes some questions. What's the number one sign of a bad home security system? A home security system that's so complicated you never use it. This is exactly the type of security system Simply Safe has spent a decade fighting against. They believe that simple is safer, and it's exactly why Simply Safe is the home security for right now, when feeling safe at home has never been more important. Simply Safe was designed to be easy to use while protecting your whole home 24/7. Order online with the click of a button. Open the box, place the sensors, plug it in, and your home is protected around the clock. No technician or salesperson has to come and disrupt your house. You don't need to pay any outrageous monthly fees or sign a 2-year contract. I told you my daughter just bought a house in the suburbs, and my housewarming present to her was a Simply Safe security system. I told her she thinks she lives in a nice neighborhood. It probably is a nice neighborhood, but you never know what's going to happen. You need Simply Safe. No matter where you live, you need it more than ever. Simply Safe was named Best Overall Home Security of 2020 by U.S. News and World Report, and their 24/7 professional monitoring and emergency dispatch starts at just 50 cents per day. Head to simplysafehowie.com and get free shipping and a 60-day money-back guarantee. That's simplysafehowie.com to make sure they know that our show sent you. I'm Howie Carr.
A nightmare to liberals everywhere. He's Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by the Barley House in Concord and Northampton, New Hampshire, bringing people together for a great time and great food, including fresh ground burgers. Their amazing staff is determined to make your day better. Check out thebarleyhouse.com. The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian.
The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book.
I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Is Kennedy Babylon 2 your last book?
No, if I think of another topic for a book I want to write, I'll go for it. But I think it's the last of my Kennedy Babylon series. I made Kennedy Babylon 2 kind of long because I wanted to get everything in there. Now there's other stuff I could write about, but I'm Kennedy'd out.
Since having the sleeve operation, do you miss not eating big meals?
No, I don't. I can still eat what I used to eat. I just can't eat as much. I'm now very surprised how much I used to eat. I'm surprised at how much people I eat with consume. It's just hard to believe that I used to eat that much, but no, it's not a problem.
How is Mr. Gooner since Pearl's passing?
Mr. Gooner is drowning his sorrows in food.
What is the most trouble you ever got into as a kid?
My father was giving me grief one time up at Moosehead Lake in Maine, and I threw a rock at him. He didn't much like that.
This is Karen from Billerica, Massachusetts.
This is Adrian in Swanton, Vermont.
This is Miss Susan up in Warner, New Hampshire. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. So the press conference started about 5:30. CNN dumped out at 5:41.
This is CNN.
Which was about 8 minutes ago. And the Wolfman, Wolf Blitzer, was apologizing that the president had devolved into campaign rhetoric. That's according to 603. How long did they stick with Joe Biden's pablum today? And I don't think you can describe it as anything but pablum. All right. So the president's, his campaign rhetoric is continuing here. So we're going to pick it up again. 844-500-4242. Let's go back.
Deliver a vaccine in record-breaking time. We're doing very well on the vaccines. We have many, many different vaccines being studied right now, many of which are looking really good. And we're ready to distribute the vaccine when we get it. We're all set, taking a risk, an economic risk of preparing for delivery because we feel very certain it's going to be there. But logistically, we have our military ready to go. We have generals that's all they do is distribute things, and they're going to be distributing hopefully a vaccine or a therapeutic, and it's coming out really well. And I think you're going to have some good news very, very quickly having to do with the vaccines. We're also working with many other countries on the vaccine. Many countries are working with us. We're unleashing our nation's scientific genius to kill the virus. Joe Biden didn't just side with China on the virus. He did. He called me again xenophobic. That's what he said. You all heard it many times. He described the rise of China as, quote, a very positive development. Not a positive development. Not for us, it's not. He said that the idea that China is our competition is really bizarre. He's really bizarre. He said China's not a problem. No. Nobody's ripped us off more than China over the last 25, 30 years. Nobody close. And he says China's not a problem. Now he takes it all back now. Now he wants to be Mr. Tough Guy. But for years, 47 years, he never came out against China, never said anything bad, just the opposite. His son walked out with $1.5 billion of money to invest where he'll make hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions of dollars a year. Walked out with $1.5 billion. I asked one of the biggest people on Wall Street, maybe the biggest, is that possible? He said no. He's never seen it. They don't do that. But Hunter, where's Hunter? Where is Hunter, by the way? Hunter Biden walked out with $1.5 billion. In Ukraine, he got $83,000 a month and I guess an upfront payment of $3 million. So he went from not having a job to getting $83,000 a month with a lot of money paid up front to work for Burisma. And you all know about Burisma. But nothing happens. Nobody cares. And he was unemployed, as you know. He was unfortunately forced to leave the military. He was forced to leave. Didn't have a job, and all of a sudden he's making a fortune. But nobody talks about that. Indeed, Biden expressed more fawning praise about China on an ordinary day than about America. On the 4th of July, the last Independence Day, Biden attacked the United States and said, we had, quote, never lived up to the ideals of our fathers, our forefathers, or our founding fathers, those founding ideals, and yet he enthusiastically stated that China is a great nation and we should hope for its continued expansion. Well, we all wish well to China, but what China's unleashed on the world, it's hard to even fathom. I see people now, friends of mine, they walk up, they want to say hello, and they have to keep their distance, and they're all covered up like you're all covered up with face masks. It's a different world, but we're coming out on top. Biden sides with China over America time and time again. And he said on the 4th of July, American history is no fairy tale, and yet blindly celebrates China, saying few nations in history have come so far, so fast. He's so proud of them. He's so proud of them. Now Joe Biden is pushing a platform that would demolish the U.S. economy, totally demolish it. So we built the greatest economy in the history of our country, greatest in the history of the world. That was a few months ago. Best unemployment numbers ever. Best for African American, Asian American, Hispanic American. Best for women, best for everybody. Best for young people that didn't have a high school diploma, didn't have a college diploma. They had a diploma, they were really in good shape. We built the greatest ever, stock market highest ever in history. We had 143 days of all-time stock market highs in just less than 3.5 years. And we had to close it down because we did the right thing by doing that. As I said, we saved millions of lives. But China was saying, this is incredible what's going on. China was for the first time respecting the United States. And
it's all the
now
past
they
tense.
want to do something.
It's got to get out of the
much
past
different,
tense.
Joe Biden. So I've watched this, and I've watched it with great interest. We're building our economy again.
There we go.
I guess the stock market went up almost 500 points today or something thereabouts. You'll check, but it was up a lot when I left. And our economy is coming back. We're almost at a level where, even though it's long before the very important, maybe the most important ever election of November 3rd, we're long before that, but we're close to record stock markets again, and NASDAQ hit an all-time high for the 16th time. Think of that, for the 16th time over the last month or so, for the 16th time. So one of our markets already hit an all-time high.
All right. That's we'll be taking a break. We'll come back with this when we return. We're also going to have with us the head of the Boston Police Patrolmen's Association to discuss this so-called police reform bill that was passed by the Senate at 4 a.m. this morning. A lot of problems in this legislation. You're not surprised. I'm Howie Carr. I recently had a dental emergency, and where did I go? Perfect Smiles. I've said this before, but this reminded me again of what a perfectionist Dr. Houghton is. He is a veneer engineer, a world-class dental artist. Being on TV, it's important that I look my best. Dr. Houghton did that for me, and he can do it for you too. Right now, when a lot of people don't want to go into the city, Perfect Smiles is conveniently located in Nashua, New Hampshire, and parking is free. I was impressed to see all the state-of-the-art safety protocols that Perfect Smiles has taken since the virus. You'll feel safe and confident when you visit Perfect Smiles. Call 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, or go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Perfect Smiles banner. You can also see my video at PerfectSmiles.com. Perfect Smiles. Change your smile. Change your life.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Did you have any pets when you were younger?
I had a cat named Dexter. That was my first pet. And then I had possession of 2 poodles when I lived in Palm Beach, Princess and Frisky. They weren't really my dogs, but I took care of them. They lived with me. So they were my dogs. I love those poodles.
When you were a kid, what was the best gift you ever received?
I got this wooden fort from FAO Schwartz in Palm Beach, about the age of 6 or 7, 10 soldiers to go along with it. Such a cool fort. I had that fort for like maybe close to 10 years.
What is your all-time favorite movie?
Probably Goodfellas. I love Goodfellas. I love it even more than The Godfather.
What is your favorite dessert?
Oh, that's a tough one. Probably chocolate ice cream, followed by vanilla ice cream, followed by coffee ice cream.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self advice, what would you say?
Get a state job, because behind the job comes the pension.
What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Most advice is pretty forgettable.
What's the best money you've ever spent?
The investment I made to leave the corporate radio prison I was in, the worst people I ever worked for, no doubt about it. I'd probably be dead if I were still working for them.
If you were on a deserted island and you could only bring 3 things, what would you bring?
A radio, a Wi-Fi system, obviously, and a computer, and I would bring some books. Don't ask me which books, too hard a question.
What was your dad's job when you were growing up?
My dad worked as a resort hotel manager. He worked in Florida at the Breakers in the winter, and then he worked at the Mountain View House, as it was called then, in Whitefield, New Hampshire, and various other places.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
So now you've broken your elbow. Have you ever broken any other bones?
When I was 8 years old, I broke my leg. I was playing touch football in Portland, and a big kid, a 15-year-old, tackled me. When I was in my 30s, I was going down the stairs, and one of the kids' toys was on the stairs, and I tripped on it and broke my foot. I lost a tooth playing touch football when I was just out of Deerfield. I got smacked in the jaw. My tooth went up, and I still have a bridge, a crown from that mishap. I have a replacement hip, and now I have a bunch of pins in my left elbow.
When do you plan to retire?
I don't plan on retiring. As an old football coach once said, once you retire, there's only one big moment left. You know what that is.
He might not be flashy, but he's there when it counts. Here's 1 minute of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
For the first time in my memory, I agree with Nancy Pelosi. I am indeed the Grim Reaper when it comes to the socialist agenda that they've been ginning up over in the House.
You've watched the fight, you've watched the tactics, but here's what I want to tell you. In the very near future, Judge Kavanaugh will be on the United States Supreme Court.
Noted with great interest the Green New Deal. And we're going to be voting on that in the Senate. We'll give everybody an opportunity to go on record and see how they feel about the Green New Deal. Well, first on the impartiality issue, do you think Chuck Schumer's impartial? Do you think Elizabeth Warren is impartial?
No.
Bernie Sanders is impartial? So let's quit the charade. This is a political exercise. Nobody states of America. Look, we're at an impasse. We can't do anything until the speaker sends the papers over, so everybody enjoy the holidays.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
He's the co-sponsor of the Green New Deal, so what better time to play some of his greatest hits? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Frosty.
This is going to be a mission to save all of creation.
If you want to ignore that these changes are taking place and that they're having a dramatic impact, then you are in the right place.
Do you know what the winters were like at Plymouth Rock? Do you know what the winters were like at Plymouth Rock, Senator?
Well, here is the thing.
You don't. How long has your family been in Massachusetts?
We are new arrivals, and
Mr. President, American history was made last night. The Boston Patriots won the Super Bowl.
When the Second Amendment was written in order to maintain a well-regulated militia, they did not have in mind that people could purchase guns indiscriminately. The president is acting like Pontius Pilate.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally meant rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
We went to the White House for the Christmas party. In your opinion, what was the highlight?
The highlight of my trip to the White House with Grace, there were two. Number one, when we walked into Trump International Hotel, which she'd been dreaming of going to, and her eyes were wide. And then when the president actually came down the stairs, her eyes were even wider. She was so in awe of being there. I really felt like King Farouk, you know? I felt like I was giving someone a really great gift that they couldn't get otherwise.
You've had some really good interviews over the years. Which one was your favorite?
I can't really say what the best interview I ever had, but one...
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
As the Secretary of Education, should schools in the United States follow the CDC recommendations?
These are recommendations, and every situation is going to look slightly different because every school building is different, every school population is different. These are smart people. They can figure out what is going to be right for their specific situation.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
I think what we heard from the Secretary was malfeasance and dereliction of duty. Going back to school presents the biggest risk for the spread of the coronavirus.
That's just completely wrong and contrary to all the science. The risk to children from this disease for fatality is nearly zero. In the United States, half the teachers are 40 or less and a quarter of them are under 30. They have almost zero risk from this.
Oh, back to school. Back to school.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
When the city of Gotham had a real difficult challenge, one of the things that the mayor there did, he sent out the distress signal to Batman. And I'm happy to report I'm calling out the census cowboy. If you see the census cowboy, that means you got to make sure that you fill out the census.
I am going to stop pollution with my new lovable character, Gary the No Trash Cougar. Pick up your trash!
Unchained and unstoppable.
We are now requiring all counties to close their indoor operations in the following sectors: restaurants, wineries, tasting rooms, movie theaters, family entertainment centers, zoos and museums, card rooms, and the shuttering of all bars.
No smoking, no drinking, no drugs, no guns, no foul language, no red meat. Land of the free.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
The president is still speaking, and I think we'll get back to him at some point. He still hasn't taken any questions. He's just he's going on with his statement that's been going on for over half an hour now. But I did want to take a break from this to talk about some important legislation that passed the Senate early this morning for a sweeping police reform. They should have put that in quotation marks, approved in 4 a.m. Senate vote. And it would also controversially scale back a legal protection for police and other public employees, including firefighters and EMTs, that currently shields them from civil lawsuits unless there is a clearly established violation of laws. And that seems to be the biggest problem that the unions have with this, and I can understand why, certainly. Speaking with us now is Larry Calderoni. He's the president of the Boston Police Patrolmen's Association, the largest police union in the state. Larry, what's your biggest? What did you think? Give us your capsule review of the legislation as it passed last night or this morning.
Thanks for having me on, Howie. How you doing today? Capsule review?
Yeah.
It's a bad bill, Howie. And law enforcement as a whole across the Commonwealth, we're pretty disappointed in what the Senate did.
Well, is the biggest problem this the qualified immunity part of it? And can you explain to the people who aren't in law enforcement what exactly qualified immunity means?
Yes, I can. So qualified immunity is a legal doctrine that's been on the books for approximately 30 years. It's a protection that protects municipalities and all public employees from frivolous lawsuits. That's pretty much what it does. And I'm stressing public employees because it protects all public employees. There seems to be this false narrative out there that's been created that this is a protection for bad cops. So I need everybody to understand and hear it. This is not a protection for bad police officers. This is a protection for municipalities and public employees that are doing the right thing, that are playing by the rules, that are doing their job, and it's to protect them and the municipalities, the taxpayers, from frivolous lawsuits.
And this all the firefighters, first responders were written into this bill in a later version. Are any other kind of public workers, public union people in this legislation?
Yes, and that's what people are missing. When I stress all public employees, it's everyone. It's the teachers, the doctors, the nurses in the school system, your town assessor, the people that issue the building permits. Anybody that works for a public entity is affected by this law.
Well, I don't understand, what the benefit is. I mean, this was passed by the state Senate. 30 members of the Democrat Party voted for this thing. The Democrats are supposed to be the party of the public sector unions. What's going on here, Larry Calderoni?
We're not even looking at this as a union issue, Howie. We're looking at this as something that's on the books to protect all public employees. There's a narrative out there that's been created because of what happened in Minneapolis. This is an opportunity to attack police officers. That's what this is. It's an opportunity with this false narrative to make people believe that police officers cannot be sued because of this qualified immunity. And that is not true. Police officers are sued when they do something wrong,
right?
Just like any other public employee.
Or just like any employee, period, or any private company is sued. That's the way it works. So, Larry, I mean, what are the odds that this bill is actually going to become law? I mean, we talked about this the last time you were on. The House leadership, if not the rank and file members, are more conservative than the Senate leadership. I mean, I can't imagine the House leadership allowing something like this to reach the governor's desk. Can you?
Well, I don't know what they will or won't do. I can tell you that they have been definitely more courteous. They're definitely more cautious in their approach. They're more inclusive. We've been working with the Black and Latino caucus, as you know, for the past several weeks, discussing pieces that should be in this Senate bill. This Senate bill is just a bad bill. They took the governor's 13-page document and made it 72. They threw everything except a kitchen sink in this bill. And it's really offensive and insulting to the men and women in blue, and it should be insulting to all public employees, which is why you now see the Professional Firefighters Association coming out. You should be seeing more public employees coming out this week as it starts to get better knowledge and better traction. What the Senate did was they hid in the middle of the night. They did this as quickly as possible, and they took a 4 a.m. vote, assuming that nobody will understand or realize what happened until it's too late. And that is not fair to the public.
Well, I mean, the House has said they're going to hold public hearings. I mean, that was one of the more offensive things about this bill. There were no public hearings. I mean, you know, the most routine, mundane legislation gets public hearings. And I know that, you know, you have this panic going on. But this is a pretty important piece of legislation to rush through with no public hearings, isn't it? No chance for feedback, positive or negative, from the public, right?
That is exactly correct. And that's why you saw the Minority Law Enforcement Organization and you saw the Cape Verdean Association. They were on the stairs of the they were on the stairs of the State House this past Sunday saying publicly that they were never included. This is being passed off as a bill that's needed for the protection of black and brown people, yet they didn't even include the minority organizations that are supposedly affected. It's really disgraceful the way this has been pushed through. 28 years of litigation by different judges in different levels of the court system, and they can't seem to figure out what qualified immunity can and cannot do, who it protects, who it doesn't, and yet the Senate thinks in their infinite wisdom they can do it in 7 days.
The New York City Police Department, as you well know, is seeing a stampede out the door. People have had it. They can't wait to get off the job. You think the same thing's going to happen in Boston and other cities in Massachusetts if this thing goes through?
Well, I truly hope not, Howie. We are paying attention to our brothers and sisters in New York. It's a major concern of ours. If you look at like what you're saying in New York, they're getting so overwhelmed they actually put a limit, no more than 40 retirement applications per day. That is astounding. If that happens here in Massachusetts, I don't know what we'll do. I don't know if it's calling for the National Guard or what happens, but we truly hope that that's not what will take place here.
My texters are saying, so is this going to turn the police unions and the public sector unions away from the Democrats? Because Joe Biden is basically endorsing all the same things, sort of things that are in this bill.
Well, I'm not going to speculate what all the other unions and their leaderships will do for their memberships. I can tell you here that we're looking for all elected officials to stand up, have courage, like a good dozen or so senators did in the building yesterday. Have some courage and stand up for your law enforcement officers, the men and women on the street. You know, the Senate passed this at 4 a.m. Well, most of the general public was sleeping, but people seem to forget it's the police officers, the men and women on the street, that are allowing them to sleep peacefully. We're out there protecting the streets at 4 in the morning, making sure that nothing bad happens. Some consideration should be due to the men and women on the street that are out there keeping everybody safe. Instead, the Senate's sneaking bills through that are detrimental to the health and safety of the workers.
What would you tell people who consider themselves pro-police, pro-first responder, just pro-public sector unions that work for the people? What would you tell them to do now that this bill is going to the House?
Well, we're hopeful that your listeners will assist us and really look out for themselves, because one of the worst things that's going to happen here is if this is allowed to pass into law, all of these court cases are now going to be transferred and be filed in state court. There'll be a flood of state court actions, which will then put the increased burden of cost onto the cities, towns, and municipalities that are going to have to defend them, which means the taxpayer dollars are going to go out the door to defend these frivolous suits. And if you just look at what happened on May 31st, every single protester, peaceful or not, that came into contact with a public official, police officer or not, would be able to file a suit in state court claiming damages. And that's going to flood the court system. It's going to slow down everything. It's going to cost cities and towns millions of dollars. And those are the things that are not being talked about. And that's just a few of the instances that may happen with this change.
But, yeah, the House is, I'm sure, taking a lot of heat from the House members, or including the leadership, are taking a lot of heat from the woke Twitter mob, etc., and they're going to have to, they're going to have to resist it here. And I'm not sure how much they're capable of, but I hope the leadership can stand up. Larry Calderoni from the Boston Police Patrolmen's Association, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. 844-500-4242. If you haven't tried Super Beats Soft Chews, you're missing out. This stuff is great. You guys, you VIPs liked it, right? Well, I'm going to give you some to take on the way out the door. It's really good stuff. It gives you a boost of energy. It's good for your circulation. It's good for your blood pressure, and it just sharpens your mind just a little bit. Super Beats Soft Chews combine non-GMO beets with a powerful new ingredient, grapeseed extract. The grapeseed extract used in Super Beats Chews has been clinically shown to be twice as effective at supporting normal blood pressure as a healthy lifestyle alone. Better blood pressure means more energy the way nature intended, without the jittery caffeine or stimulants. Now you can take just 2 delicious chews a day, anytime, anywhere, to get the blood pressure support you need and the energy you want. The Super Beats powder is great, but it's a little more work. You got to take put the powder in a glass, stir it up, drink it down, then wash the glass, the spoon, et cetera, et cetera. The Super Beats Soft Chews, just grab them as you're walking out the door and pop one. I have one early in the morning, and then before the show, you'll probably do it. Develop a time when you like to take them. It's great. And it's really good for you. It'll make you feel better. Do what I did. Support your heart health with delicious Super Beats Chews. Get your Super Beats Chews today at superbeatsradio.com/Howie. And when you buy 2 bags, they'll throw in the 3rd one for free. That's superbeatsradio.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
He's suave, he's debonair, he's Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Folensby Inn of North Sutton, New Hampshire. Just 90 minutes from Boston on the shores of pristine Kezar Lake. Perfect for year-round relaxation. Book your stay at folensbyinn.com.
This is the Howie Carr Show, live from Chappaquiddick at the Party House. 25 years after Chappaquiddick 1969. On WHDH, News Talk 850.
Another bad song from 1969. 742-0850. We're going to take some calls this segment if you want to get on board. If you have any questions for John Farrar, the scuba diver who saw Mary Jo Kopechne's body underwater. The number again, 742-0850. We're going to start talking about the incident and everyone's perceptions. John, let me just get this straight. So now, as far as your belief is that while Ted Kennedy was walking past all these houses back towards the Party House where we're broadcasting from now, Mary Jo was still alive.
That is correct.
And she would have been alive probably for about an hour, you think?
I think that's most reasonable, and if an hour, if not longer, that's correct.
If not. Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair, so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
He's the gaffe that keeps on giving. Here's 1 minute of former Vice President Joe Biden.
You teachers who touch them, figuratively speaking, well, I hope you touch them and tell them how much you love them too. But my point is, when you touch their hearts. I get in trouble some of the things I say, but I want to tell you, just be straight up. If I'm your president, with me it starts here in my gut, goes to my heart, and then I articulate it. And by the way, I sit on the stand, and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. $1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Hi, this is John in the People's Republic of Amherst, Massachusetts.
This is Heather from Litchfield, Maine.
This is Kent, Wichita, Kansas, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
Skip the hassle at the grocery store and sign up to get delicious, high-quality meat delivered fresh right to your door at butcherbox.com/Howie. That's butcherbox.com/Howie. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Are children at risk if the schools reopen in the fall?
No, they're not.
92% say no.
Yeah. People are saying, why doesn't Calderoni realize that the Democrats are going to screw the public sector? He can't. There's certain things he can't say. I mean, I have to ask him the question. But sometimes, whether it's President Trump or President Calderoni, he can't respond. Totally candidly. And I think probably a majority of the people in the BPPA will be voting for Trump. Probably a vast majority of them. I mean, there's something about getting a bottle of water or a bottle of something, a yellow liquid thrown at your head by a purple-haired Antifa thug that tends to concentrate your mind about who to vote for in the upcoming election. That's my own personal sense of the matter, but he can't really say much because he's dealing with all Democrats. Now it goes to the House. There's 160 House members. I think only 31, 32 are Republicans. So he has to deal with Democrats. And again, that vote last night, there are a lot more Democrats, but he got more Democrats than he did Republicans voting against this legislation. So this is a big mess, and it's not going to get any better. And he's right. This isn't good for I know a lot of people don't like they've had a bad experience with cops, or they don't like public sector unions. They don't like pay public taxes. But this is going to cost you more money, and it's going to mean less protection for everybody if this thing goes through. And why is it being passed? It's like you said, they're taking advantage of a situation. And what does this situation have to do with public policing in Massachusetts? I mean, look, there've been how many cops were killed last year? There was the cop in Weymouth, right, who was killed, and he was killed by a guy with a rock. And this guy, the cop, I think he obviously was concerned. He didn't want to be the next Ferguson, Missouri cop, like the guy who killed the Gentle Giant, and the guy ended up killing him with the rock. And then you had the guy who was gunned down on the Cape with the police dog. He was going up the stairs to serve a warrant on this guy who'd been arrested 1 million times and been let go. And it wasn't even the judge's fault that he was let go. It was just the way this stupid criminal justice system is set up in Massachusetts. You can't hold people. It's not as bad as New York State with it being written into the into law that you can't hold people unless they commit a really violent crime. But the unfortunate way is to let people go, and what happens is you end up with people being killed. 844-500-4242. 207 says, I don't like cops, but I'm glad they're there. They must be protected. Yeah, they have to be protected. They don't call it the thin blue line for nothing, It is the thin blue line. Trump is taking questions.
President Xi of China. And do you plan to speak with him in the near future?
No, I haven't spoken to him. Well, no, I don't. I have no plan to speak to him. Yeah, please go.
Follow-up?
Do you want to do a follow-up?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay, yeah. Is it okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to know, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was hospitalized today with an infection. Wanted to know if you had any reaction to that news.
No, I wish her the best. I hope she's better. I didn't hear that, actually. She was just hospitalized? No, that's too bad. No, I wish her the best.
Okay.
She's actually giving me some good rulings. Okay? So you know that, right? People were surprised. No, I wish you the absolute best. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. So you were mentioning the travel bans, and I wonder when do you plan to reveal that, because the European countries are in the situation is under control, much a better place than the U.S., and there is no ban for other hotspots like Russia and India. So what will be the criteria to change that? And another question.
Well, we've banned for Europe, and at some point that'll come off, and we're dealing with them all the time. The relationship's very good. They just don't treat us very well on trade. They have been very unfair to us over many, many decades, and we're doing that. It's very easy to solve. I was all set to solve it, actually, and then we got hit with the plague. But we have a travel ban on various countries.
We'll keep rolling on this, and we'll come back to it when we return. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
Nowadays, seems like companies are running away from their own iconic brands so quickly you'd think they owed the money. Must be they figured that it's easier to improve the name than it is to improve the product. We here at Matthews Brothers have a different philosophy when it comes to our brands. Instead of naming our products for something that sounds grandiose, like the Super Duper Thermal Insul Shield 2.0, we prefer to use names that are actually meaningful to us. For example, the Sanford Hills, named for the youngest of the original founding brothers, Sanford Hills Matthews. A man who was a skilled craftsman as well as a teacher, Sanford Hills had a relentless passion for quality, and he inspired this passion in those with whom he worked. Always the first to arrive and the last to leave, Sanford never took a vacation in the 37 years he worked here, except to attend his only son's graduation from the University of Rochester in 1885. His passion for quality was his legacy and something that remains part of our fabric today. You can see the results of our continued relentless passion for making wicked awesome windows and doors, but only at Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. That's Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
Biden might be the frontrunner for the Democrats, but that isn't stopping him from serving up a whole lot of gaffes. Take a listen.
I believe that the president is literally an existential threat to America for three reasons. One, he is a genuine threat to our... I had permission to hug Lonnie. He says, let's make America great again. Let's make America America again. I think I'm either low IQ or slow, or I don't know what I am. Slow Joe Biden. Thanks for the Mary, and I'm going to be here a lot. I want the press to know she pulled me close. I just want you to know, okay? President Trump inherited an economy from Obama Biden. By the way, he gave me permission to touch him. They can't even figure out how to deal with the fact that they have this great division between the China Sea and the mountains in the east. In the west.
We all shop online, and now you could do it a better way with Honey. Honey is the free online shopping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. Just download Honey to your computer and shop on all your favorite websites like normal. When you check out, just click the Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Macy's, Etsy, and more. And Honey has found over $2 billion in savings for its users. That's why it has over 100,000 five-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. It's 100% free to use and installs in seconds. Plus, it's backed by PayPal, so you know it's secure and reliable. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. So get Honey for free today at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
How did you come up with the name VB?
My first producer and I both had steady girlfriends, or we were married or whatever. And VB was always saying that we were whipped, if you know what I mean. Finally, I said, you don't even have a girlfriend. I've never seen you with a female. As a matter of fact, I don't think you have ever had sex. You are just a virgin boy.
What is your biggest fear.
That Donald Trump will not be reelected in 2020 and that some horrible Democrat will come in and finish off the destruction of this once great country.
Out of all of your daughters, who is the least like you and why?
Probably Charlotte, even though we went to the same high school, Deerfield Academy. She has a different sense of her responsibilities than I do. Let me put it that way. She has a different regard for money. She's not a cheap bastard, in other words.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
We went to the White House for the Christmas party. In your opinion, what was the highlight?
The highlight of my trip to the White House with Grace, there were two. Number one, when we walked into Trump International Hotel, which she'd been dreaming of going to, and her eyes were wide. And then when the president actually came down the stairs, her eyes were even wider. She was so in awe of being there. I really felt like King Farouk, you know? I felt like I was giving someone a really great gift that they couldn't get otherwise.
You've had some really good interviews over the years. Which one was your favorite?
I can't really say what the best interview I ever had, but one that just occurred to me was Jesse Helms, the senator from North Carolina. I interviewed him one time, and he went to high school with my mother in Monroe, North Carolina. And the first words out of his mouth were, "Howie, I know your mother before you knew your mother."
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. We'll take some calls in this segment. The president's press conference is over, and he didn't seem to have a lot of energy in that presentation. But and they keep saying, well, you know, we cut away CNN and MSNBC because it was devolving into campaign rhetoric. I mean, he has to toot his own horn because he's not going to be tooted by anybody in the mainstream media. You know, the best he can hope for is a fair shake on Fox and maybe a little bit on the Wall Street Journal editorial page. That's about it, isn't it? And talk radio. And he has to go out there and do his own thing. That's why he keeps tweeting out all the time. So, you know, this is not the end of the world or anything, but it would have been better. It would have been, you know, I'd be feeling a little more up, and so I think so would you probably, if he had a little more energy and, you know, shown a little more pizzazz like he usually does. 844-500-4242. Someone 302 says it's all about accountability, meaning the cops. It shouldn't be allowed to get to the point of a George Floyd problem before cops are held. But how many George Floyd situations are there? Come on. It's ridiculous to say that. There were 9, according to the Washington Post. I have to preface it by saying that, according to the Washington Post, not exactly a fair arbiter of the news, 9 unarmed black men were killed by cops last year. 9. There were twice as many white men. I know there's more than twice as many whites, but still, it's not a large number. 9 for the whole country. I mean, look. There were 17 shooting incidents in New York City yesterday. 22 people were shot. And I don't think police were involved in any of those shootings. 844-500-4242. Matt, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Matt.
Howie, you hit the nail on the head. No one else is talking about Trump needs to go on at 5 o'clock and do these press conferences because except for you, Rush, and a couple people on Fox, no one else is standing up for the guy. And the Biden-Bernie plan, which got released last week, no one's talked about that. And you have that one sound cut in your intro where you talk about your worst nightmare of him not being reelected. I think That's becoming my worst nightmare because what we're talking about in Massachusetts right now with this bill that just got passed, these are literally things that are going to happen everywhere. And Trump is the only Trump. I hate to use stupid analogies, but he's the wall. He's the one that's getting up and really fighting for us. And it's this sort of stuff. It doesn't have the most tact, but it's the only way he can be effective. And if he doesn't do this now until November, he's not going to get reelected.
Yeah, he has to. But the thing is, he really just can't be talking about the past and saying, well, until the plague hit, we had the best unemployment rates, the stock market, your 401k. He's got to be, don't you think he's got to be looking ahead, Matt?
It's tough. I agree. I think he's got to be looking ahead, but I think he also has to remind people how good things were, and tie that into his message going ahead and saying, listen, we were at this point, the thing hit, and we're just going to keep doing and implementing our policies and be harder on China. But yeah, I mean, it's frustrating because no one's covering this, and he's just getting hammered right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough too when you wake up in the morning and you see that there's this drumbeat, on the internet, on TV, and the newspapers. They're treating this COVID-19 like the world is coming to an end, and you look at all the numbers, and it's not. It's the flu is what it. I mean, maybe it's a tougher version of the flu, but it's not killing that many more people than the flu, and it's mainly in certain demographic groups, i.e., the very elderly and the very sick, and nobody else is really seriously at risk, and you wouldn't know that if you're not paying attention. And unfortunately, over half the population of the country is not paying attention. 844-500-4242. Steve, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Howie, how you doing?
Good.
I'll tell you, there's so much crap in the news. I have to focus on things that I think are the most. The thing that's really sticking in my craw today is this crap that they're doing. Like if somebody dies, and but if they had COVID, we're going to call it a COVID death.
Right.
Who issued these directives? And where is this coming from? This is orchestrated. We need to get to the bottom of this and really hammer this and expose it, because it's total BS. All they report on is the infection rate. They don't report on the death rate, which is dropping anyway.
Right.
But the thing is, a lot of these deaths are not COVID-caused deaths. You know, they need to stop lying to us. If they're going to keep lying, we got to keep screaming back at them.
Well, the thing is, every state is handling its own statistics, and they're all coming up with these bogus numbers for whether it's just honest error, or they're deliberately trying to inflate the numbers to make Trump look bad, or to make a Republican governor like DeSantis look bad. The Fox station in Orlando reported that today that they were some of these nursing homes hospitals were reporting 80% COVID test positive rates. One of them was coming up with 100%, and they checked, and it was like 5%, not 100%. Another one was 76%, and it was 6%. It's happened over and over again. I mentioned the story that sticks out of my mind is Pennsylvania, where they have that governor that's got a goatee, and you have the health director, Dr. Rachel Levine, who used to be named Dr. Richard Levine, and they were giving numbers of COVID deaths by each county. And so one of the coroners for a county got a call from a local reporter and said, we want to find out about these. We want to do public, features, public human interest stories about the 2 COVID victims in our county. And the coroner said, what are you talking about? We haven't had any COVID victims. And the reporter said, that's not what the state website says. And this has happened over and over and over again in different states in different ways. Delaware, a couple weeks ago, they added 67 names overnight. There was a spike yesterday. It was Delaware, little Delaware, increased the numbers for the whole country. And of course, that became screaming apocalyptic headlines. Thanks for the call, Steve. John, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, John.
Hey, how you doing? So I got a quick question as far as what constitutes for this to be a state of emergency. Is there a certain amount of the population that has to be infected with the virus for it to constitute?
No, I don't think there's any specific hard and fast numbers like that, John. No, you just have to sort of take everything into consideration.
But here in Maine, we've had a total of 114 deaths. Out of those, 56 of them were people between the ages of 80 and 100. We currently have 436 quote-unquote active cases, but that number is both presumed cases and confirmed cases. No one will report on how many cases are actually confirmed, including the George Harry Rick Tyler show. And the confirmed number, I believe, is below 50. With the numbers like these versus a population of 1.3 million in the state of Maine, it doesn't make any sense how it can be a state of emergency with all these oppressive mandates.
I know. Well, aren't they fining people now if you come into Maine and you don't test it out, that you can get a ticket? Like if they get your number off an Easy Pass from Massachusetts, their people are starting to get tickets in the mail. That's what I've heard anyway. John, is that true? Do you know?
Not that I've heard. And matter of fact, is what I've heard is Janet Mills is she's rolled back on people out of state coming in that would have to have like a negative test or self-quarantine for 14 days or whatever. But I can guarantee you, we got all kinds of people up here from all different states up here at the vacation homes, and they didn't quarantine. I can tell you that for a fact.
Hope they didn't. If I had a vacation home up there, I wouldn't be quarantining, I don't think, unless I thought I was going to get bagged. But I mean, if I did that, I'd be thinking, maybe it's time to put this vacation home on the market. I don't understand it, John. And I didn't understand why she relaxed the regulations to let people from New York and New Jersey in to the state without a quarantine, but Massachusetts no. When Massachusetts we're number 3. New York and New Jersey are the number 1 and 2 states in the country for COVID deaths per 100,000 population. So why is Massachusetts shut down? Quarantine supposedly, whereas it's not New York and New Jersey. And so someone asked a reporter asked Charlie Parker, why is that? And he said, he didn't know about it. And he said he was going to call her, but it was a very lame answer. Thanks for the call, John. Dick, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Dick.
How you doing, Captain?
Good.
Having listened to you for almost 30 years, some of your favorite terms are bow-tied bum kisser, wet brain, pipe artist, but one of my favorites, which is perfect for describing politicians, is a weasel. And my state senator, an optimal Republican weasel, what do you think he voted last night for the bill?
Is your Senator Tarr or O'Connor?
O'Connor.
He voted present.
And yes, he did. And do you know what his very first vote was after he got the seat when Hedlund left? It was when the Senate voted on having the millionaires tax proceed forward. So I called one of his aides, and at a next, you know how they give local hours in the district and stuff?
Right.
So I went to the next one that O'Connor was going to have. He didn't show, but he sent one of his aides. And my complaint was, how dare he do that? And the guy called me back. It took about a week. I'll give him credit for that. And he said, well, the senator felt that it was better to give the people a chance to vote on it, as opposed to just letting it go through his fingers. And just it's just like Markey's first vote.
Yeah, when he voted present on whether or not the U.S. should use military force to enforce the step backs or whatever they call them, the red line in Syria back a few years ago. Go ahead.
But the worst, weaselly, spineless approach you can take, no testosterone to get out there and say no and why not. God help us, Howie.
I know. I was appalled when I saw that today, that 2 of the 4 Republicans in the Senate. I mean, it's people say, well, we need Republicans in the Senate. Why do you need Republicans in the Senate if they're going to vote present on an anti-law enforcement vote? 2 of them, and including the leader. It's not O'Connor, it's the other guy, Tarr from the North Shore. He voted present, the Republican quote unquote leader of the Senate. How do you vote present on something like this? This is probably the biggest legislation of the year. It's disappointing, Dick. Everyone knows PayPal, but did you know they're teaming up with Honey to save you money? Honey is the free online shopping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your card. And now it's part of the PayPal family. Just add Honey to your computer. It's free. I'm going to say that a couple of times. It's free, and it's easy to put on your computer. Then just go back to shopping at all your favorite sites like you normally do. When you check out, just click the little Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan the database of all the working coupons on the web. Honey can keep an eye on these things much more than you can. You can't know all the coupons on the web, but Honey can. Then watch your price drop. It's very good. Grace uses it all the time. My daughter Charlotte uses it all the time. They save money just on shipping. And what was the last time you got a discount from Honey, Grace?
This morning.
What'd you get?
Sunglasses before work. I was doing a little online shopping with my breakfast this morning.
Oh, really? How much did you save on your sunglasses?
I saved $15 with Honey.
Really? Wow, those are pretty expensive shades.
I have champagne taste, Howie.
$15. It's not bad, though. Not bad. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, DoorDash, Home Depot, Lululemon, Macy's, and more. Honey has found over $2 billion in savings. That's why it has over 100,000 five-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. And just like Grace would have passed up $15 if she didn't have Honey on her computer. And again, I repeat, it's free to install. It's free to install, and it installs in just seconds. You don't have to shut down the computer to do it. It does it quickly. Get Honey today at joinhoney.com/Howie. You'll be glad you did. That's joinhoney.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
Howie Carr. You can trust him. He's not like the others.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Route 1 Grill House in Saugus, located just before the Cactus. From their steak tips and ribs, the Route 1 Grill House has it all. Open now 7 days a week for both outdoor and indoor dining.
There are plenty of differences between Trump and the Democrats running for 2020, but the main one is Trump's pretty funny. Take a listen.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president. I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay? It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst. Other countries, big countries, India and others, we had to pay because they considered them a growing country. They were a growing country. I said, what are we? Are we allowed to grow too? Okay. No, are we allowed to grow? I try like hell to hide that bald spot, folks. I work harder. Doesn't look bad. Hey, we're hanging in. I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year. Because I've destroyed her political career, and now I won't get a chance to run against her, and I would have loved it. I don't want to knock out all of the good stuff and end up with somebody that's actually got talent. That would be terrible.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
It's time for quarantine questions. You're up, Jared. What have you been eating the most during this quarantine?
I've been eating a lot of Indian food because that's all that's in the machine downstairs, and I'm really growing to like it.
What is your drink of choice during the lockdown?
My drink of choice, I'm definitely a Scotch guy. A nice Dewar's really does it for me.
What about a non-alcoholic drink?
Coffee.
What one TV show would you recommend to people who are quarantining right now?
One show? Star Trek The Next Generation. You can't go wrong. It's got everything you want. It's got high-concept science fiction. It's got humanity. It's got great characters. It's the last truly great television show.
What is the biggest pet peeve about being at home?
I can see all the dirt that I don't clean, and it mocks me.
What is the biggest silver lining of staying at home?
I'd say wearing sweatpants, but I do that most of the time anyway. I'll say wearing my Spider-Man costume and not being judged.
What's one book you're loving right now?
I'm a big comic book guy, so I'm reading a lot of comic books. Right now, I'm going back over the classic Stan Lee, Steve Ditko Amazing Spider-Man run, about the first 40 issues.
Hi, this is Cindy from Osterville, Massachusetts.
This is Brett Rock from Dunstable, Massachusetts.
This is Amy in Lisbon Falls, Maine, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. Dr. Scott Atlas, we're going to try to get him on the air tomorrow. He's from Stanford University. We've had him on before. He's another skeptic about closing down all these schools and keeping them closed. And he really went after Pelosi, after she said that this was a malfeasance by the Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, and Donald Trump for wanting to keep the schools open. So this is what he said last night. Cut 4.
That's just completely wrong and contrary to all the science. And when I say all the science, I'm talking about science from all over the world, not just in the United States, but Switzerland, Sweden, Canada, France, the Netherlands, Australia, Asia. It's really totally contrary to the science.
Who are you going to believe? The science from all over the world or Nancy Pelosi? Cut 5.
I'm not sure how many times it has to be said, but the risk to children from this disease for fatality is nearly zero. The risk to children for a significant illness is, quote, far less than from seasonal flu, according to JAMA Pediatrics. This is totally antithetical to the data.
Yeah, he says, how many times do we have to say this? A lot, because you're never going to hear it. In most places, nobody wants to admit it. It's right up there on the state of Massachusetts' own website. It's probably on all the other different states' websites too. But nobody's looking at it. They're just listening to these headlines and watching the reading the stupid headlines on Comcast or Xfinity or Google or Yahoo. COVID cases spike. That's all people see. Then they go on to Facebook. Check out the latest kitten photos. But they know the news. COVID cases surge. Then they check back 2 hours later. There's a new headline. COVID cases skyrocket. Cut 6.
In the United States, half the teachers are 40 or less, and a quarter of them are under 30. 90% are under 60 in public schools. They have almost zero risk from this. And for those high-risk teachers, which there are some, if they believe in masks and social distancing, don't they know how to do that by now? And if they're still afraid to do their job, why can't they teach from a distance? If they think social distancing works, teach in the class. If they think distance learning works, teach from home.
Yeah, but they don't think the teachers' unions don't think they can benefit from they don't think they can benefit by getting Joe Biden elected president if they allow or go along with the schools reopening. Cut 8.
This is a level of hysteria. This is something, I feel like I'm living in a Kafka novel here. I get thousands of emails a week from all over the world, from professors, teachers, mothers in the United States and elsewhere. They are stunned that we are willing to just simply destroy our children out of some bizarre notion that is completely contrary to the science.
Yeah, I don't get it. I go home tonight and I'll walk Gooner, and half the people out there that walking around have masks on, and most of them aren't even in any danger. And then I walk by the yogurt shop near my house in the morning, where all the young people go, and guess what? I see all these discarded masks. They would just earn the masks in the line to get the ice cream. As soon as they get the ice cream, they just throw them down. You know what I would support if I were in the legislature? I would support a 5-cent returnable deposit on masks, so I wouldn't have to keep tripping over them in the morning outside the yogurt shop next to my house. They're treating it as seriously as I do. The difference is I'm not wearing a mask at night because I'm not going into the yogurt shop. I don't want the yogurt that much that I have to wear a mask. I'm Howie Carr. Whether you're working from home or working on your fitness, you want what you're listening to be what you're listening to, not what your roommates or family are listening to. Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycons start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycom was co-founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Get 15% off your order at buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie.